critical of human perspective.
Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence. This is Shane. So glad you could make it. And I wanted to start this one off. I've got a caller, Mason, that's going to be joining us in just a moment. But I wanted to share this image because it goes with last night's broadcast so well. It's the God's Eye Nebula. And thank you so much for Casey Cat for reminding me about this image. I had it as one of my desktop images years ago. So when she mentioned it, I'm like, wow. And then I looked at it. It's blue in the eye part, just sort of like the that information last night with the 222 eye on the way. So without further ado, let me turn Mason up here. How are you doing today, Mason?
Good. Hey, how you doing?
Welcome to the broadcast. So you are experiencing the Mandela effect like most of us, right?
Mandela Effect. I mean, I have maybe one experience from that, but it's mostly just,
More of an
I wanted to
awakening.
talk about yeah, because I mean, it was like a really big deal for me when like my dad just passed away just recently, maybe a couple months ago, and it kind of like triggered it, and I've never really been, religious or spiritual or anything in my life. And I didn't even know there was a community online for it, honestly.
Mm.
And it was kind of weird. So
Well, I
when
lost
it,
both of my parents too, so I know how tough it could be.
yeah,
Thank God I've never lost a child, but
it was a big time because so my dad was in the hospital and he had basically cancer. So it's pretty aggressive and he was like on a ventilator and he was barely making it for a few months and then after it happened, I kind of like lost everything. I mean, I'm young, so I had like this giant ego, like, oh, I have this sports car and I have my apartment and I live alone and I'm have this good job. I'm doing some good stuff right now,
hmm
and then it all got like kind of taken away, like immediately. I lost my apartment, my car got repoed, and my dad passed all at like once. So
oh
it
wow,
was
that's
it
a
was a
huge
pretty
wake up call,
intense.
really.
Yeah. So it kind of like changed everything for me. But
So it got you looking to more deeper spiritual meaning in life, though, huh?
yeah, and I mean it was like the whole experience itself was almost you know how it is, and I'm sure a lot of people that watch it know how it is when they experience it. It's like you can't ignore it, and your life doesn't not change at that point.
Yeah, it's like a paradigm shift where everything you just perceive everything differently.
Yeah, and I kind of like this. It's like because I've had this whole thing where like my whole life I just I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna be a millionaire and I'm gonna have a Lamborghini and I'm gonna show off, and that was my thing. And
Yeah,
it's
that's my favorite car too, and those were my dreams when I was younger too, for sure. Man, I was gonna be famous, I was gonna be a singer, and I was gonna have a
yeah.
Lamborghini, and which I'm too big for one anyway. But it's
And I
not.
probably would be too then. I'm like 6'2", dude. I don't know.
Yeah, they're
Maybe.
not made for somebody 6'1", 6'2". But I was gonna have one.
Oh man. But I mean, it was kind of incredible, honestly. Like so my family, we've been kind of like split. Like we don't really communicate with most of our family most of the time, and because they're all like kind of they steal from you and they call the cops on you to just get things out of you and things like that. So we haven't done much with them. And my dad's brother and him were having like an argument for a while, and they're not like that or anything, but we haven't really spent time at their house for a while. And
Right.
when I was a child, it was kind of like we would go to the house and it would be like the funnest time of year, and because they had like a whole video game room, and I was like, oh yeah, I get to go play video games up there and spend the whole weekend up and everything. And it was a good like 6 years that I haven't been there, and then when my dad passed was the first time we went back there, and that's kind of like when it happened, you know.
Right.
And it was really weird because all of a sudden, like I felt something in me to like go over and listen to what my brother was saying because he was like, "Oh, I think something's happening," and I was listening to him, and the wind was blowing outside, and I don't know, it seemed like those little wind turbine things that like made of plastic, and they just put them like outside to make it look nice,
Oh, right.
and those were blowing around, and my brother's maybe like 11 years old, and he's like looking at them. And he's like, "Oh, it looks like someone's walking here. Is something happening? Can you come look outside?" I went out look outside, and that's kind of like when it happened. It just boom. I felt this rush of energy, and I couldn't explain what it was at that time. But now I can recognize it as like a rush of energy all over my body, and suddenly I felt like I knew what was going to happen in that like in this short period of time because I was talking to my brother and telling him how I felt about him, and all this stuff was just coming out of me, pouring out, and I couldn't really control it. And I was just telling him like, "I'm proud of you. You're doing a good job and everything, and I'm here for you no matter what."
Hmm.
And then I was like, "Okay, now I'm going to talk to my sister." And my sister walks out of the house, and I just knew this. And then I told her the things. I'm like, "Okay, now it's time for my mom." And my mom walks out of the house. I'm like, "What's going on here? This is really strange." And I just still felt all this energy all over me, and I was telling my mom that all more like sentimental and emotional things and everything, and then it happened with everyone in the family. I was like, okay, now I'm going to talk to this person and then this person, and then it just went on like that.
It's
And it
like a
was
big shift of going from like the material things to realizing
yeah,
what really was important, the people you loved, and
yeah.
that's
It
awesome.
it was, and it was, I don't know, it felt like he was my father was kind of like trying to talk through me almost. It was,
Right.
and
So it's like a supernatural experience.
yeah, it was like what I've been reading and what I've been hearing is a lot of people who experience these awakenings, they have this rush of like they they, they feel these emotions in a deeper, more profound way, and
Hmm.
I was in, and that's what I felt, and I was like, this is different because most, I don't know, it's hard to explain,
Have you
but
ever been religious, or were you raised in a religious home or anything?
no, my parents aren't religious, they're not spiritual. I mean, they're a little bit like they're into it, but they just never really, they just let me do my own thing. And
Right.
I pretty much considered myself an atheist
Hmm.
most of my life, and so, and then after this whole event that happened, it was, and this is leading up to the event that everybody's talking about, because
Hmm.
this is really weird. Because after my whole awakening experience, I ended up, I was at work one day because I got a new job, and then I felt like something big is about to happen. I just got this rush, like something's going to happen really soon, and everything's going to change. And then I got the feeling that there's others around the world who know about this too and who feel the way I do. And I was like, what's going on? And so I spent like the next 3 days looking online, and I found this community, and everybody's talking about this event that's coming up, and I'm like, dude, this is a little crazy right now.
Yeah. Surreal.
And yeah, I don't. It's like I'm every because I question myself and what I was thinking a lot. Like because I was like, this can't be real. This doesn't make any sense. You know, like how would I even know any of that, or how would I feel that? Like that doesn't make any sense. But now I've kind of like grown to it, and and I feel more confident in it all.
Right.
But
So have you had dreams or any other experiences, or just more of a knowing?
I get a lot of just knowing things, and I get a lot of these mental images and stuff sometimes when I go into meditation and everything, and
Hmm.
it's just like it's it's it only happens sometimes. I don't really can't even explain what they are sometimes, but it feels like it's an idea of a choice that has to be made, or an idea of what might be happening,
Oh,
and
I
so I'm
get
just
it.
like,
That's
okay.
exactly how it is for me. People have dreams and visions, and I've mentioned a few dreams, but it's only because they don't happen too often. It's more like exactly what you're explaining. It's just like an understanding comes over you, like you were downloaded with some information, and
Exactly.
you don't know where it comes from or anything, but you know that it didn't just pop in your head, you know?
Exactly. And I don't know. I've done this. So my mom, she ended up going to a free writing or no, a medium, and to talk to my dad, and it was kind of weird because I didn't believe in mediums either, to be honest, and so the medium came to my mom, and what they were doing this whole session, and the medium picked up on my dad's like personality type, like the way he like responds to certain questions. Like my mom asked, like, does he know that we got a dog? And my dad's like, yeah, you got it. Yeah, I know. He's not really into animals like that, so it was kind of funny, and she knew his name and things like that. So what she did is she, I guess, opened the channel so we can communicate with him and
Hmm.
everything. And so we do this free writing stuff, and through the free writing on the meditation, it talks about like world peace and stuff. And it could be coming from me, or but it's just like I go so deep into meditation where I question like, did it come from me or did it not? So
I
it's
think a lot of people deal with that.
yeah,
That's why it helps to have confirmations. Like what you were saying, coming across this community and everybody's talking about what you got, during your meditation, and it's a confirmation that, oh, I didn't just pop off of that out of the clear blue. It's all these people are talking
yeah,
about it.
yeah. And I wanted to talk about one thing
Hmm.
for sure because it's kind of I don't know if you got I know a lot of people believe in the Illuminati or Cabal and maybe they don't, but what I've noticed is in that community as well a lot of stuff is going on to where they're saying that the whole thing is ending and they're getting beaten right now. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of information on it too. Like Jacob Rothschild just like got his mansion sold. Like Drake just uploaded a video called God's Plan and things like that. And if you read into what he's saying, it kind of like talks about it, like him leaving, and it's really there's a lot on it. But
Yeah, Scott,
I don't know.
the guy that was on the other day sent me a video. It was talking about the shift. I believe it was Scott. Sorry if I got it mixed up, but um, sorry that this is Mason. Sorry, they were saying, what's the name of the caller? This is Mason.
Oh,
He was on the other day. He was in the chat the other day, and we tried to get him in then, but here he is now. So, but yeah, I was watching this video about the changes in the. I've never been into Zodiac and all that stuff because it was evil in the way I was raised. But
yeah.
so I don't have a lot of knowledge about it. But going in from Pisces to Aquarius, and we're going from basically the fish to the water bearer, and a part of the new age coming in is that a lot of the deception is coming down, and I think that really goes along with what is reported to be happening right now. I don't know if it's true or not, but it sure does look like it's happening. I mean, is it more of the same, or is it really going to be different this time? I don't really
Yeah.
know. But I've been watching. I've been keeping an eye on that, the whole thing with Q and
Yeah.
just all of the Illuminati stuff coming down, and even
It,
just saw one today about the shooting that just happened. How
oh
the
yeah.
school was named after, it was anti-school that did a video on it, but how the school was named after the person that was against draining the swamp years ago. And I was like, oh my
Is it really?
gosh, yeah. So it's like it
Oh
was like an
man.
Illuminati attack to symbolize saying basically stop trying to drain the swamp. You know what I mean? It was symbology all
Yeah.
throughout it, and the numbers always play a huge part in it too. So yeah, I'm right on board with you with keeping an eye on all that stuff. I just think it's careful we don't get too sucked into it because it
Oh
could be
yeah.
a distraction. But I am definitely watching it and enjoying the show.
Yeah. I just like to keep in like an open mind and like see what's going on. I just want to take an observational standpoint. You know what I'm
Yeah, me
saying?
too. Yeah.
So, and it's it's really weird because okay, so yesterday, because I don't really listen to Drake or anything, but last night it was like in the middle of the night he uploaded a video, a new music video called God's Plan, and he gave away like $1 million to like school and children through in this video and everything.
Hmm.
And there was one line in there where he said, somebody's reading this close, yep, real close. I've been me since Scarlet Road, so it sounds like, at some point he's, because there was that whole like time where like Madonna like bit his tongue or something and introduced him, quote unquote, to it. Um, but and so I thought it was really weird. And then Paul Hellyer, the former Minister of Defense, he actually came out like the other day and said that it exists too. The former Minister of Defense of Canada came out and said that this organization exists basically. And I thought that was really strange, along with all these other events, and then the events in the spiritual community, and it's all like coinciding with each other. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's exciting to keep an eye on, and
Yeah.
it's hard not to. Even before I started this, I was like, I gotta finish watching that video because it's
Yeah.
so exciting to see what's happening. You know what I mean? And um,
Yeah,
yeah, so I get it, man.
man. But
So how long have you been like actually meditating and things like that? Has that been since your father passed away too?
yeah, it's probably a few months. I mean, I just got into all of it because I don't know. I just been. Yeah, I'm totally stuck right now. I'm sorry,
Oh no,
but
it's all good.
yeah, I started a few months ago, and it's actually helped me, feel more clear on how I think and how I see things, and it's been helping a lot. And I've been getting a lot of downloads too. It's just I notice all this ringing in my ears, and this when I what I've been doing a lot is when I'm feeling really, I go and I do a lot of writing and everything,
Hmm.
and and I get these vibrations and I can feel it through my whole body. I'm like, whoa, what I'm saying might be legit or something, and it's kind of cool. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I get it the same way, man, and it's awesome when you get it. A lot of times, I'll have things come to my mind, and I'll literally be in tears, man, because it's like, wow, I didn't just think of that. I was just telling somebody earlier, and I mentioned it in videos a long time ago, but I remembered when this all first started happening, I felt like I was waking up and trying to, wake other people up. I realized my first book that I could remember my mom reading to me, it was before I could even read, so I was probably 4 or 5. It was called Milton the Early Riser. And it was about this panda bear that gets up and he's like trying to wake up all the other animals because he got up before all of them. And I would love for her to read that to me, and I would always fall asleep before she ever got to the end of it. But yeah, it was just when that came back to my mind, I knew I could see how my whole life was lined out for this very purpose, and it
yeah,
was touching.
yeah. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed this a lot. It's like YouTube, but specifically on YouTube. If you go on YouTube and you look in the comment sections of a lot of videos now, there's a lot of people being more positive than usual, you know.
Yeah, I
And
have
there's
noticed that.
and it's not totally filled with, like horrible things people are saying to each other. And there's actually some like encouraging and nice things people are saying. I'm like, but why is this happening? This
Yeah.
hasn't happened in the whole history of YouTube. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, when I first
So
started, I used to have to ban people all the time because I don't really mind people speaking their opinion about stuff, but they would name call and call people stupid and idiot and just really just mean
yeah,
comments. And I was like, I want people to come and be able to leave a comment without people being mean like that. And it's one of the ways I met Diane G from uh, over in Britain is because she was getting beat up on. I mean, she was on the other side of the conversation, but she was being treated so mean by people, and I was having to delete comments and take up for her
yeah,
constantly. And she's become like a long subscriber now, for she's been around for a while. But yeah, I normally get rid of those people that troll, but I haven't even really had to do that lately.
yeah. It seems like everybody's kind of like, I don't know, lightening up to each other or lighting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They're kind of relaxing a bit. And here, what else do?
yeah,
Because
definitely.
I mean, so
What
you
else
wanted
are
to,
what else are you feeling besides the change coming? Do you have anything else that you feel like you're supposed to be a part of, like just waking people up or just keeping the spirits up? Or do you have any kind of feelings about where you fit into the whole scheme of things? Because you've been definitely communicated with, you know?
Yeah, and I've been thinking about that a lot. And I don't even fully know, to be honest. I'm just kind of trying to figure it out as I go. I mean, one thing that I think I should be doing a lot, and what I'm trying to be doing a lot, is just to write about the stuff that I'm thinking about, or I am feeling,
Yeah.
And so I made this whole like Tumblr account where I'm like and I'm just trying to talk to people about like different ways of thinking about like appreciating others, and it's like we don't have to attack each other for differing opinions, because all opinions going to have some value, even if you don't agree with it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and I think that's just something that I really should be doing, and that's what I've been doing a lot. And I'm hoping that I can get like a lot of people to kind of take a look at it, and maybe because my goal is I want people to come to me and I want people to argue with me. That way I can not argue back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they,
I get a lot of practice in the comments, so maybe you need to just start a YouTube channel.
I
So
don't know.
try
I'm
to
bad
be
at talking.
nice and try, not to argue while at the same time, because a lot of people won't know. They'll be saying things that are the things you would have said like 10 years ago, and you gotta, and then the thing is, you'll have to say the same, respond to the same type of a comment over and over again, and it's got to be fresh and new every time you respond, because you can't get tired of responding to that same question, because for them it's their first time saying it and they think you don't know and they haven't read your other comments. So you got
Yeah,
to approach each one with fresh eyes, so to speak, and try to stay loving.
yeah, and I mean, it can get hard. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's just I think we're in a special spot to where we get to recognize what's going on, and we get to take that, not necessarily a higher road, but like be able to view them for the road that they're on, and be able to assist them with it.
Yeah.
And and that's really a big thing for me that I'm really trying to think about. That I want people to take their path the way that they're going to do it, but I want to like show them that there's there's you're not looking at the whole picture, essentially. You know what I'm
Yeah, you're getting the same exact thing I got when I first woke up. That made me name my channel "Unbiased and on the Fence," because I realized as soon as you sort of got absorbed in a worldview, it sort of closed you off to all these other worldviews. And the more I was on the fence about them and not really jumping into any particular, I pictured it like cubby holes. Once you jump in one of them, you can't really see any of the other ones. But if you stayed on top,
exactly.
you could sort of pick and take the pieces. You can understand different people, because in each group was loving people with families, and they just wanted the best thing. People aren't in groups to, be evil. I mean, even the most evil people think they're doing what's right, and that's one of the things I didn't realize
Yeah,
early
exactly. Like
on.
I mean, yeah, everyone's got and and it's something I really want to focus on like individually too, and I think we should all do is like, you know, obviously I think everybody here is on the same page with that, but
Hmm.
that I mean, even people that we disagree with or might be stupid, we think, or whatever,
Right.
they have something, and there's a reason for why they think that.
And certainly not a
And
reason not
I
to
don't know.
love them because they think differently. And that's sort of our problem as humanity, is that so quickly we'll just hate on people because they don't think like we think. And it's like, can you really prove what you're trying to divide over? Most of the time, it's things we can't even prove anyway. That's why there's differing opinions about it. You know what I mean? So why
Exactly.
divide and hate over it when you honestly can't say for sure either?
Yeah, and when you get into the whole spirituality topic and you like start doing research on like ancient religions and history and just like people of power participating in these like topics or
Hmm.
people, and they all kind of talk about how um, what the universe is and everything around us is the way we perceive it, and it exists the way we perceive it individually.
Hmm.
And so even if we have something like this is true, this is what it is, that might not necessarily be what's true in their in their view, you know, and they're still right. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
they might have some, like they might they might be looking at it the wrong way, or might be
Hmm.
looking at it differently, but they're still right, you know. And I don't know.
That's wild, man. That you're getting all those same things. I got to a point where I realized, man, everybody's right. It's like
Yeah,
from their perspective, they're right, you know. And it's like that's that point I got to where I'm like, holy cow, you know. And it's like that's what made me realize that even when you look at things that are like political and stuff, everyone's political affiliation is right from within their mind. You know what I mean? Even if they're
yeah,
playing the game,
based
they
off
don't
like the
realize.
events of their life or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So yeah,
I mean,
it's been
our
an eye opener.
yeah. I mean, like all of our experiences and our viewpoints are based off of our life experiences, you know, and no one's going to have the same life experience, and so therefore everyone's going to have a different opinion.
Yeah,
And I don't know, it's
I even started
but
seeing. Thanks for the new subscriber, Mellow Toots. I one of the things that really blew my mind is when I realized that two completely different worldviews. You got like the New Age sort of movement, and then Christianity. One talks about ascension, and the other one talks about the rapture, about ascending into the sky. And
and it's the same
I'm
thing
like, it's the same thing
with
they're
a different
talking about. It
word.
could be the same thing, and they're like arguing over
Yeah,
who's right. And it's like they're both right, and they're both talking about the same thing from different perspectives, and it's just funny, you know what I mean?
yeah. One person one the Christianity view is that everyone's gonna die and it's gonna be this Armageddon event, but then you know the other one is positive, and it's like, well, you know, what is Armageddon though? Like we can
Right.
look at the word, and it's not necessarily just an ending of every life on the planet. You know, it could mean a few different things.
Yeah, and
So
it's so funny because they'll typically use the word apocalypse, and if you really look that up, the root word is a revelation. It's not even like this disastrous end of the world sort of thing. It's more of a time when the veil is lifted and people begin to see things. It's
yeah,
not a fearful thing at all. It's finally the curtains open and you get to see what's up, and that's the apocalypse. So when you look at it, I mean, a lot
yeah,
of times they'll call Revelations the Apocalypse of John because the two words are interchangeable, Revelation and Apocalypse. So, yeah, that's why I don't divide over that, and I see people that I just think they don't realize they're talking about the same thing. At least they fit in many respects, and then you got to look at how religion has tried to put a lot of fear into stuff to keep people, under control or within their grasp and stuff.
yeah. And it's like if you think about it, the a lot when you hear apocalypse, a lot of people say, "Oh, the world's going to end as you know it." Well, as we know it right now, the world is, you know,
Right,
smartphones and internet, and like we're stuck on Earth and we can't do anything. We're kind of just on this ball, and that's it. You know,
right.
and there's nothing like mystical
Or a
or
record. I'm just playing.
yeah. It's like it's like, well, if everything were to change like that all at once, then it's like the world did end as you know it. You know,
Yeah.
so, so
Yeah, I
I don't
totally
know.
agree, man. It's more like the end of a chapter and the beginning of a new chapter, which I think we can all agree that we're all ready for a new chapter, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
A more loving chapter where all of this deception and like you were saying with the cabal and the Illuminati, the deep state running everything, there shouldn't
Yeah,
be one elite riding around on a solid gold carriage while there's millions of kids starving. I mean, it's just so ridiculous that people can't see that. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I don't know. It's and one oh I kind of wanted to go back into you know, my father and everything. If that's cool, is that
Yeah,
cool?
definitely. Let's do it.
So one thing that kind of opened my eyes to like the spiritual side also is um, I hear a lot of people talk about how you know the Earth and or they call it Gaia or something like that, and
Hmm.
it's the Earth has like energy and this positive loving thing for all of its life, you know,
Yeah.
and one thing that happened when my dad was in a really bad state is when he was on the ventilator and he was put under to sleep a lot because he couldn't really be awake because it would kind of mess with his blood levels and his heart rate, and it would
Hmm.
kind of put him in a bad state. And he was scared a lot. He was I don't think there was a point really in the whole 3 or 4 months that it was happening where he wasn't scared about dying.
Hmm.
And the one thing that he did see that calmed him down and made him feel better is something called the Green Man. Have you ever heard of
I got a subscriber called the Green Man. Not sure what he named himself after though.
that? It's and I looked into it, and it's actually this the Green Man is this it's like a man's face and intertwined with like trees and nature, and this symbol has shown up through you know human history for thousands of years in all these different cultures, and no one really has an idea why. And I kind of looked into it, and a lot of people believe that it might actually have, it might be, it symbolizes death and rebirth and growth, and there a lot of people think that it might have a connection to like Mother Earth, and it's like her son or something like that.
Oh yeah, I've
And it's
got
like,
pulled up some pictures here. Actually, one of these is the Green Man's avatar he uses on YouTube. That's funny.
yeah,
So
and it's been like everywhere in humanity. It's just, and what's really strange is that when this happened, when my awakening happened, um, and when I was at my family's house, they actually had Green Man statues, and they didn't even know what it was. They just thought it looked cool, and they just had them at the house somewhere, just like sitting out, displayed outside.
oh
And
wow.
I actually happened to have the same thing at my place, and I didn't even know what it was. I just thought it looked cool. And then when my dad experienced this and he saw this face, and that calmed him down and not made him afraid of dying, it's like, whoa. It seems like it's around, and there's
Yeah.
some kind of energy helping getting life, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's really
I thought
wild.
I thought that was really strange.
Yeah, I'm wondering why I never really heard about this. So is there a story that goes along with it? Like is it more of like a myth or something maybe that goes along with it? Some
You
from
know, I There's not too much information on it. It's just a lot of people have recognized that it's shown up in like ancient Egypt. It's shown up in like ancient Greece and the Celtics and Vikings and all that. And it's been in all these places and all these cultures on in history. And it's just, and no one really knows why. It's just there.
Oh wow. So how
And
was
it's
it that
really
your
weird
dad
because
saw
it's,
it? He just saw it in his mind or
yeah, he was put out and he just saw it in his mind, and then
wow.
he's like, oh, I saw this thing, and then so my uncle is an artist, and he was trying to draw it out because we all wanted to get a tattoo of it because it made him feel better.
Mhm.
and and so he started drawing it out, and he started looking it up online. He's like, and he found this picture of the Green Man, and he's like, so is this what you were thinking of? He's like, that's exactly it. That's exactly what I saw, and it
Oh
happened to
wow.
be that. And then what's stranger is that it's at my uncle's house by accident, and I've had a Green Man like incense burner at my place for a few years without even realizing what it was. I just
That's so
thought it looked
wild,
cool.
man. I
Yeah,
wonder
and
I've got
so
to
when I
look
find
into
out
it.
what it is, I'm like, holy crap,
That
what's
is
going
so
on
wild.
here?
Wow, yeah,
So
I'll have to look more into this. The Wikipedia on it says a green man is a sculpture or other representation of a face surrounded by or made from leaves, branches, or vines, may sprout from the mouth, nostrils, or other parts of the face, and these shoots may bear flowers or fruit, commonly used as a decorative architectural ornament. Green men are frequently found in carvings on both secular and ecclesiastical buildings. That's wild. Green man is also a popular name for okay public houses. Okay, so yeah, that's wild, man.
yeah, and I guess what it means here, it was like death and rebirth, and kind of like becoming one with the earth again, and your spirit rising, and I guess that was a little bit of the meaning behind the symbol, and and it kind of matched because when we first found out what it was, we were thinking, oh, does this mean my dad's gonna be okay? Is he gonna like get past through this? But then, after he passed, I looked further into it, and actually had to do with death too. So
Yeah,
it was almost like You know,
Like he was going to be okay with dying more than it was that he was going to continue to live. It was a comforting thing for him.
exactly. And a lot of strange things happened around my father's passing too. Like just coincidentally, like Catholic priests ended up at our, like in our like. Okay, so there was a nurse that was a Catholic priest who ended up hearing about us somehow, and she came in and prayed over him. And then my mom, you know, while she was stressed out about everything that was going on, she accidentally got in someone else's car that looked exactly like hers, and that person ended up being another Catholic priest. And then they came and they didn't even know this is just a complete stranger, and they came to the hospital and they actually prayed over him too. And we're like, why is all this happening? You know? And then all the events after he passed, like I don't know, there's a lot of crazy things.
So
But
you've seen enough to know that this isn't. It's like there's hardly any coincidental things. I don't even believe in coincidence anymore. I feel like everything is like
yeah.
everything happens for a purpose. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And to be honest, a lot of it, it's just I feel like a lot of what we see is reflected from inside of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And I think I needed a lot of weird coincidences to get to prove to myself like that. Yeah, this is actually happening, and
Yeah. I
it's like otherwise I wouldn't believe it, you know.
Well, I think you'll enjoy Monday. We're starting a segment with this guy Nathan and Jim who are all about getting messages. I mean, many times when we pray, it's sort of one-sided. You know, you sort of pray to some deity or something that you'll never see,
Yeah,
or whatever, or get an answer in return, or it's sort of a vague answer, but he's going to be explaining how, and it's the very thing I've been dealing with, how we get answers all the time, but we're so caught up in the past or worrying about the future that we're not in the moment to receive them. It could be a song on the radio or anything, and it's constantly talking to us, but we're not even, we're getting messages, but we're not hearing them because we've been so like bogged down by the cares of the world, so to speak.
yeah, and it's a lot of it too with a lot of people is that it's almost too mystical and and too magical to be like, yeah, that I don't think that's happening. Like I don't
Right,
think I'm getting all these synchronicities with these numbers. They're just numbers.
right.
You know,
But
but
at some point, it happens so much that you're almost crazy to think they're not happening on purpose. You know what I mean? How many
yeah,
coincidences can happen in a row like that?
like after the whole awakening thing and after everything was like kind of and I kind of got a balance going and I and I'm like not super obsessed with what's going on. I started seeing the number 69 everywhere and I mean everywhere on license plates and on like billboards and signs, and it was really weird. And that was actually the year that my father was born too, and so it could have totally been like me wanting to see the number 69 because I just wanted that connection. But
Right.
I don't know, it was so much that it's almost hard to ignore, So
Yeah. My good friend off of the from the channel, he's been seeing 73 a lot, and I didn't know if it was a personal thing with him or if other people have been seeing it a lot too. But it happens, and it's. I don't know. I kind of think of that whole yin yang looking picture when I think of the a 69 too. So that duality. So
yeah,
there's no
yeah,
telling.
yeah.
But it's more
I
of a
don't know.
personal thing for you. And when my mom passed away, man, when I was like 19, her birthday was November 11th, and that was my first experience with seeing 11/11s all the time. And
Oh, was it?
I felt like she was saying hello, and I don't know when his birthday is, but you might be able to decipher that he's saying hi through his birthday numbers if it can work out that
Huh?
way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like my dad's was 122. I got 122 last night. It's so funny.
It's I guess a lot of people too have been talking about how synchronicities are ramping up suddenly, like within the last few months, and it
Yeah.
just seems like yeah, they're everywhere. Um, and
Wow.
another, I don't know, another weird thing. What I've noticed too is that synchronicities don't necessarily only have to do with numbers. They could be like words or sentences or images, you know.
Definitely.
And there was this one point where I was really trying to research like what I believe in and how I feel like things are.
Mm-hmm.
And when I, and I came up across this conclusion like light and dark, and I was like, it has to be there's light and there's darkness, and then I started seeing on signs like in multiple places. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, just a second. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Give
no
me like
problem.
10 minutes maybe. Yeah. Sorry, but I started seeing on multiple signs like the same kind of conclusion that I came up with, like light and darkness, and the only truth is the truth you find within. And it's like, oh my God, what? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's it,
Yeah, I had one of them today, man. It was wild because somebody I did this video about God's Eye last night. Somebody told me look up the God's Eye Nebula, and that's the picture I showed at the beginning. And then um, that was in a comment, and then I go outside of the room, and my daughter says, "Dad, what's a nebula?" And I'm like, "What the heck? What the?"
what?
And then she was
Oh,
watching this video where somebody had a picture of a fireworks show, and they said, "Doesn't this look like a nebula?" And it was just one of those synchronistic things that it had nothing to do with numbers really. But nebula isn't a word that comes up twice in an hour. I mean, you got to notice those things. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's a little weird, man.
And as a result, I
But
pulled up the image to show tonight. So, you know, maybe that's all it
yeah,
was for. So,
yeah.
well, dude,
And
I really
there
appreciate
was
you
what
calling in. Is there another story you wanted to share about your dad before we go?
there was one thing that I guess I wanted to talk about, just because I feel like this is one of
Please
so
do.
coming onto the show, it's like I felt like I had to talk about these things to like tell people that like because I'm just some dude, but like I truly believe what I'm feeling,
Yeah.
and I felt like I have to go on and tell people and talk to people and one thing that I and
Sorry
one
about
thing
that.
that I'm no worries. One thing that I'm feeling also is just like I've noticed when I do a lot of this research into the people who believe in these kind of things as well is that a lot of people they kind of sometimes lose their humanity with it and they kind of lose the connection with people with it,
Yeah.
and they get so high up into clouds that they kind of they kind of don't have that connection. They're just like whatever, I'm here, and they almost see like their life as a limitation. And I just and I think it's really important that we all kind of stay grounded here on Earth and still, care for each other and everything. And when we all, band together and support each other, then things will change.
Oh,
And I think that's
definitely.
really
Yeah, one
so.
thing that goes along with that a lot of people feel like they're trying to fight the ego and not to feel like they're better than other people, but there's like a downside, there's a flip side to that. And a lot of times people can feel unworthy or like they don't matter or they're not uh, part of the movement, so to speak, for humanity. And I think that's important to realize that we're all playing a part, and each one of us is the leading star in your particular movie you're living out right now. And to be
Yeah,
that star, not to feel like you're better than other people, there's a difference in letting your ego, you know, run rampant, and at the same time, you don't want that to go so far that you feel unworthy or that like you're not important, an important part of everything. Because, I mean, just exchanging a smile with someone, or telling someone you love them, or giving someone a hug, or a couple of bucks to somebody on the street, you just never know the impact you can have for someone.
yeah. All of like it, everything that's happening in the world right now. It seems like a giant. And I've heard you say this before too, and I totally resonated with it. It seems like a giant theatrical play,
Hmm.
you know, and and every single person, no matter if you're awake or not, is a part of this play, and each part is equally important,
Yeah.
and it's and it wouldn't work out and it wouldn't be as like amazing in the end at the end if you were gone or if I was gone or if somebody else here wasn't a part of it,
Hmm.
and It's really important to me that everybody kind of stays, together as humans too.
Yeah,
That's my thing, I guess. But thank
definitely.
you for having me on, man. I
It was a
appreciate it.
it was a pleasure to have you on, and I appreciate your kind words, and your message was definitely a good message. I'm glad to see that, throughout, a lot of us can become bitter when we go through all of the stuff you went through, but you came out the other side a way better person. And I think that's sort of why our life is shaken up at times. We can either come out bitter and angry on the other end, or we can sort of realize what's important. And I think you definitely went the right direction with this, man. So I appreciate you calling in and sharing your experience.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I, I'll still keep looking up stuff and I'll be reading stuff. So if you ever want to have me on again, that'd be cool. But you know,
Oh, definitely, man. Yeah, you got it. You got me now.
all
So
right,
you can always just drop me a note or whatever.
sounds good. All right, well, I gotta head out of here, so
All right, buddy.
I'll
You have
talk
a
to you
good
later.
one.
Thank you.
All right, bye
All right,
bye.
you too. Bye.
And a big thanks to Mason. I'm going to be calling up Roger Prescott here. That's amazing. It's amazing that he didn't really say how old he was, but being that his dad was not too much older than me, what 5 or 6 years older than me, I can assume that he's probably in his 20s or so, and that's powerful because he's like saying he's learned things that I only recently learned, or within the last few years, um, come to realize just the whole thing about how everybody's sort of right, and uh, how just coming together and loving each other and accepting people for the way they are. I already had a really good foundation in that, being that I was raised in a biracial family, and I had my black side of the family and my white side of the family, and um, I just got to enjoy that. I've had a Democrat and a Republican for a parent. One was a Democrat, one was a Republican, and so I had a lot of this duality right there in my face my whole life, and having to learn to deal with two sides of a coin. And of course, whenever something happens, whenever something happens on, like when there was like the cop that shot the black kid, and I'm looking at my face. That's why I don't even go on Facebook, because you can get so angry. But I'm seeing both sides of my family respond in such an extreme way that they both, you know, they were so off to one end that they weren't even coming close to comprehending what was really going on. It was just, and I never got involved with that because I know it's futile. Everyone's stuck sort of in their world beliefs or whatever. But each side really needed to pull it into the middle. It wasn't like either side was even right, and I know they were in their own mind, but they were so far to one end that it was like, hey, we need to meet in the middle. You know what I mean? But I know, people are raised in different cultures and families, and sometimes that can be difficult for them to see both sides. So let me go to this screen here while I get a hold of Roger. Just one moment. Let me get Roger on the horn. All right, I want to welcome Roger Prescott back to the show. How are you doing today, Roger?
Oh, great, great. Thank you for having me on, Shane. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. I got to put together some of the. You sent me some pictures, and we talked about it the other day, but I wanted to share it with the viewers because I think it's really incredible the way our intention. I mean, you're really beginning to tap into the way our intention can affect matter all around us, and so let me. I'm going to put this on in the background while we're sort of chatting about
Okay,
it.
sure.
Yeah, I think it was so neat. It starts with so basically, explain what you're doing when I've got the clip of you now in the car where you can see the light gets brighter and things like that. You're just basically sort of in a meditative state. Are you like asking for a sign, or are you actually specifically asking for it to? How do you go about it and doing it?
Yeah, it's like a manifestation, I guess. It all started in the house with light bulbs, and so I would stare at the light bulb and try to figure out what was going on, and would get brighter, as I said, keywords, and then it would get dimmer, and it would get brighter, and so it kind of told me that if I put intention, and it's the Jesus and God and how can I help and so on and so forth. That's really where I was at that point, and yeah, so I would have intentions. So when I'm doing this light pole, if that's the one you're speaking of,
Now, right now, the one that's playing now was I had the
oh,
one in the car.
okay.
The one that's now it looks like it's in the
Oh, I'm
bathroom
sorry, I
maybe
wasn't
in the
watching.
and oh,
Yeah,
it's
this is a
okay.
bathroom.
I just put like a
Yeah.
compilation together of them, so it's like
Okay.
6 minutes long or something.
Yeah. So here I will. I'm just really focused. I know the light is connecting with me, and I can feel it, and so I pray basically like in this one here, and the colors will change colors for me in this particular example, and the illumination. So when I was working earlier on with light bulbs, shoot.
It's amazing. It's almost
Anyways,
like a dimmer
yeah,
switch, but like it's turned up all the way and then turns up even more. It's like so it's almost like you're
yeah,
tunneling energy on top of
yeah,
what's already going there. You're sending even more energy to it or something. That's amazing.
yeah. God kind of told me that He said the to send the message, the light will be brighter and brighter. And so this is kind of the technique that I use to say, okay, I guess I want to say I'm connected to source. My breathing is right. Everything is right on the money for me to change the light.
Hmm.
And so it's important for me to have it brighter and brighter so that I uh, the message is sent, and then colors came into play, and I have colors that will change, and that was really important. So yeah, this is all prayer, and it's pretty much the same prayer to bless the waters within me, bless the waters above and below me, and it's not a real difficult message, and yeah, and
How
so
long did it take for you to start actually? I mean, did you freak out
well.
your first time? You noticed a
Oh
change or
fuck! Oh
what?
fuck! Yeah, I'm sorry to swear, but oh yeah.
Yeah, I bet,
For
man.
eight hours, it was really the moto picture, and we'll get into some, I guess, some pictures too. But this is video work that I've been trying to come up with proof, and no one will look at it, and I thought they would because I looked crazy for 3 years, and I said, oh, I got proof now, and they're like, I ain't interested. The boy cried wolf kind of thing, and I'm like, oh well.
Right.
Anyways, so yeah, so right here, let me this is the ether I feel will create distortion. So the breathing is working well for me in this particular red wall thing, and this is where a lot of light bulbs have blown out that I've been at. But yeah, so I don't know if your viewers or yourself can detect the distortion, the light dimming and brightening. I don't know if that can be seen real clearly.
Right. Yeah, I can see it here, and I actually sped up the first few clips because it was more apparent it almost looked like it's flickering when you speed it up a little bit. So, but I
I
didn't speed
see.
this one up because I thought it was pretty apparent with the wall being bright.
Yeah. This is the probably the only download I got. The light blinked about 10 times and then burnt out, and it's the only time I felt like I got to run and write stuff down. I study a lot about health. I know a lot about health,
Hmm.
and a lot of the messages were things that I had been studying, not just on a health note, but on a spiritual note in the combination. So I had like 15 things that basically said you can connect and get better at this if you do the grounding techniques, if you do all kinds of different techniques and I think a lot of it has to do with energy or electricity. So yeah,
Right.
I don't know. Are we
Now
still in that same?
with the sun one that just play it with the finger, is that
I didn't see it.
um
There's a delay, so
yeah,
I'm
it
having a
is
hard
delayed
time
like
following.
20
Yeah,
seconds. So there it is
I
there, but you
gotcha.
can see it gets brighter. And is it the
Yeah.
camera
Now
adjusting, or is it
this was
actually the sun changing in some of them?
yeah. It's this was really I put to this one with you. It was I was having fun. I'm
Hmm.
trying to figure out different techniques of how that can work. So my finger was shaking really, really hard, and it was nothing natural. This here was the first. I was told about mirrors about 3 or 4 years ago through this experience that I should be working with mirrors, maybe 2 years ago, and the angels that crossed my face there is what I call them, and the angel here is about 6 7 months prior to this mirror. This mirror one was just a week ago, and these
Yeah, I
green
actually
green
slowed it
dots
down
are.
so you can see it passing by. I just rewound it so it'll be going with what you're saying there. But yeah, I
Oh,
slowed
good.
all of these down because of the I didn't want anybody. I didn't want to put a circle around it and then sort of take away from it. But it's really apparent if you slow it down. And you had sent me a zoomed in version of it too. But you can
Yeah.
clearly see, and there's a reflection of it too. That's amazing. And you know, a lot of people. I've heard people say, "Well, that's just dust and stuff." I'm like, dude,
Yeah. No.
when my mom was cleaning as a kid, if there was dust, there was a lot of dust. It wasn't just one piece
Yeah.
of dust
Too.
going by. You know what I
Right. Yeah.
mean?
Well, yeah, no, you're right on the money. And that's the thing, when you're shooting light, it's so difficult. Oh, there was a reflection off of someone's mirror out in the backyard of Frank's house. I mean,
Right.
it is so hard for me to film these things. So but and about the ego, a lot of times when I don't film, I really feel as if I've let the ego go completely. This is just about me and now and have it work, have it happen. And so sometimes that's good, that balance, and sometimes I need some video to say, there it is, there it is, there it is. So,
Yeah.
it's a little different with me. I don't feel much different. And I appreciate the compliment that I'm a sweet guy you had mentioned in the last video, because that's really the only thing that would be uh, I don't know that I don't know why I'm blessed and that whole ego thing kind of stuff, and why me and I'm undeserving, and I
Hmm.
had no religious background. I had 5-year-old to 10-year-old Sunday school, and then I have never touched a Bible, have no clue for 40 years, and
Hmm.
and then the energy came to me, and really, and I hate to be egotistic, but I feel as if God came to me. But many times I have been saved. I have had near-death experiences so many times. It's incredible. And the last time I flatlined, and the story is incredible, but it's very important to know that in my prayer, when I am being when I say I am the resurrection and I am the life,
Hmm.
I am speaking of Christ pulling me out of that river, and broke through the ice and lifted me up.
Hmm.
So those are my thoughts. It's the left brain activating the right brain by saying. I'm sorry, this microphone I have here is a little uncomfortable. I want to make sure you can hear me though. Hang on. So yeah, so how you get in, I get into the that I am the Christ consciousness, or I am the resurrection and the life. That
Hmm.
is done by me remembering how many times I have been saved.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean,
Yeah, that's
I
those
flat.
moments when you feel the divine touch of God on your life. You know what I mean?
Yes, and many, many times throughout my life, I rolled a truck at 110 miles an hour. And three times it rolled, and I was holding a Pabst Blue Ribbon beer at the age of 16, and I spun, and I didn't drop one drop of beer out of the fucking can, I'm sorry, out of the can, and I was sitting on the gas pedal on the bottom, and nothing, not a scratch. I've fallen from 25-foot trees. I have done so many things that I know that God and the Christ was saving me. There's no
Yeah.
question. There's no question. But I didn't put two and two together, honestly. I really didn't. I just thought, oh, lucky guy again, lucky guy again. I've been in bank robberies. I've been in fires. I've been in bombs. I've been in earthquakes of '89 in San Francisco, right in the middle of it. I
Oh
have
wow.
been spared so many times, Shane. And I emphasize that now only because I really want to make it clear that that is so important in my prayer to know that I am Jesus Christ. I've been saved. We're a team
Yeah.
on within, and that's really how I get the Christ consciousness. And I really think you're right on with the left right brain, and I think the nervous system, which I eat a lot of special food to support my nervous system, because the nervous system I think is how the left and right brain, it's called the gap. I
Hmm.
was a genius. I was at 142 IQ level before the last death or heart attack or flatline I did, and it took me 2 years to say my name again. I
Oh
mean, it
wow.
was incredible. And now I get tested about 136, 137. Still not a stupid guy, but now I guess on the genius level, right?
Right.
So, but I was spared. I mean, it took me years. Oh my goodness, and nobody knew. I was able to. Anyways, I don't know where I'm going with that, but so my prayer really is short, and I think it could be very, very helpful in regards to how I activate the Christ consciousness is really having those first words. The first words I really say is that I'm here, very similar to Scott Craig that you had on the call the other day. I am
Hmm.
here, I am there, and then you taught me through your IM sessions that you read aloud. I
Hmm.
found two things that were so important in my message, how to activate everything, and that is that I am the resurrection and the life. And I think of how God or Jesus or caught me from that tree, and then I think I am the resurrection and the life. And then I think of the time He saved me. I have a picture of my hand that I shared with you. I was talk of the hospital for a week. They could not believe I lived. Um,
It's amazing.
and that took, yeah, and I had a nerve graft done. I took a nerve out of my leg and out of my foot and put it in my hand to try to get my hand to feel again, because I can't feel my right hand. And I just have story after story, and I tell people my stories, my children my stories, and they're very entertaining and such. But I don't really want to go down that road as much as just say that I am here, I am there, I am the balancing breath that you taught me from the I am. And my God, and here's how I know that I'm rock on, because something I did not send you yet, and tomorrow I have a friend taping it for me. But it is what happens in the camera, as I shared with you before. The shapefinder will go to my nose, my ears, my eyes, and the shapefinder goes everywhere. And I think I shared a few of those with you.
Yeah, I
Um,
got those.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
here's your hand. That was injured in.
I
Um,
was 16 years old, and it was an 8-hour operation, and for 23 shots of Novocaine after 4 hours, and they couldn't give me any painkiller for the last 4 hours. And I screamed and screamed and screamed. And the reason this is important, is part of my prayer, is because my stepbrother accidentally created the injury.
hmm.
And he felt real bad, but he said, I killed him. And he was out in the lobby because everyone in the hospital could hear me screaming. And I felt like maybe I may have died then, or came very close or something, because I heard him clearly say that I killed him, and I was still alive, but they stopped operating on me for about a minute, and so I didn't have to scream anymore.
Oh
And
wow.
so yeah, so and then I had, like I said, a nerve graft done where they took a nerve out of my foot and the leg, and I can't feel my foot and leg anymore. And now I can feel my hand, but I can only feel pain. That's all they got back, which is good because it's a sensory nerve type level thing where you can now not burn myself. I was burning myself constantly by accident, and I lived in off of Canada area. I've moved 70 times. I've had 70 girlfriends. I've had 5 fiancés. I've had 2 wives. I've had my life is just crazy. 70 jobs. I've just lived life, and that's how people when they meet me, and I have like just different things I've gone through that, and and so anyways, I'm kind of getting off track here, but so I thought I died then. So in I am the resurrection and I am the life. I think of how I probably died that night,
Hmm.
and maybe went into a different reality, or I don't know. And then when I flatlined, I had the heart attack, and 3 hours later, I walk out of the hospital barefoot because the doctor allowed me to be released, and the nurse completely said I should not be released, and I should not have been released. And I walked the streets of San Francisco for one day and burnt the bottom of my feet so bad. And then someone the next day gave me a pair of shoes because I couldn't find my car, and I was looking for my car. Anyways, they gave me a pair of shoes with no soles in them, and so all the nails were sticking up inside the shoes on the blisters. Anyways, it felt a lot like Jesus Christ. Some of these things were just like
Hmm.
horrific pain. And so I use that again as my third step, as I say, I am the resurrection and I am the life. You clearly said in your I am
Discord, yeah, or
discourse,
discourse,
yes,
yeah.
that it was needed to be said 3 times. And I have found the number three very, very important anyway. So I really focused in on that. And in my prayer, I usually say everything 3 times. And when I do, I usually get a huge response in regards to this whole flickering and everything going crazy on the screen. So I think that's very important. Some reason it's like Beetlejuice. You got to say it 3 times. I don't really understand it completely, but if you know the movie, but it was supposed
Right.
to be funny. But yeah, yeah. Anyways, so and then once I have the spirit of the consciousness, because I really think it goes through my nervous system and activates my heart in order for me to create the God light. And I spoke of the Comet Honda last time, thinking that was Comet Honda or Honda Light. But that gentleman that you just had on, sorry, I've forgotten his name already, Mason.
Mason.
He
Hmm.
was, yeah, he was talking about the green man. And if you look at some of those pictures, it's not a green man, obviously, but that's something green that was coming out of my mouth. Well, I'm looking back on the camera. I'm sorry, back at the YouTube picture now. You can see little circles in the background, and they eventually went to my forehead, so on and so forth. But what is very, very important, why I really freaked out, and I used the F word a minute ago, was because what? Oh shoot, I'm losing my train of thought, Shane. Uh, uh,
Yeah, I
Shoot, I
disrupted you with the
didn't.
picture. Sorry. I
No, no,
was
no, you're good.
I was trying to pull up the
Um,
one with the
Oh yeah, yeah, the pictures. No, that's the key thing. I asked Jose if she could see that the lines move. See, this is where I have the proof for others, and they have a hard time dealing with it. But if you hold one of my photographs of the light beams, they should wiggle and they move in a still frame. If you print those out at Walmart or print them on your colored printer, they continue to move on hard copy on a print on a photo. And one other amazing thing with that is if you do see any of these light rays moving and wiggling and changing colors, things of that nature, these still photos, you can actually cut and paste each line and remove it from my face and everything wherever you're seeing it, and make a whole 10, 20 lines on a paper or on an image, on like a Photoshop kind of thing,
hmm
and then you can, or a photo editor, and then you can print that, and all 20 lines on the photograph are wiggling and moving. And this is what freaks people out when I show them that in a hard copy. They're like, how can it be moving? It's just ink and paper. How is that line moving? And so they're all moving, and the effect becomes stronger when you have 10, 20, 30 of these lines all moving on the same picture. So anyways, that's a phenomena that I somehow have discovered or something.
Wow.
um,
That's neat.
yeah, I'm sorry I keep rambling on, but
Oh
yeah, these
no, no,
photographs, like,
this is interesting
yeah.
stuff. I'm sure people are
I
enjoying it.
hope you does I guess I'm curious in your group because I go back and look at your messages afterward, the chat. Is anyone seeing when you hold like this picture of the flower, if that one's still up, and the lines at the very end in the corner will start disappearing and fading. The one that's a real strong light that I'm looking at now on YouTube, it's really not necessarily moving, but it's just a crazy powerful light. And I do live in Colorado Springs,
Here's the one I
Colorado, where
noticed. That
Tesla.
it'll be up there in just a moment, but it was the one where you're
Okay,
holding your hand up, and there were several beams of light, and then sort of a
let me see.
rainbowy looking. Uh, there's
Okay, let
thin
me see.
bows that come across there. I thought this one was. That was the first one you sent me, where it almost looks like it's moving up towards.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one everyone recognizes, and that's why I did a clip from one of my. You can see how many likes I got and comments I got. I put it on a Mandela Effect page, and they're like, "Oh, I see it moving. Yeah, I see it moving," and kind of stuff. So it's on my pinky, and then on my second finger there. This is my good hand, I call it, my left hand, and that wasn't injured. And you can see the lines moving. The rainbow will pop sometimes as well. You'll see the second rainbow like pop, and get brighter or shed light of somehow. And this one is. Here's the other thing, Shane, though, is it's weird. This is about a year old, this photograph, and what happens to most of my photographs, they'll freeze. They'll pixelate completely, and no movement will occur, and you can see all the pixelation. So I didn't share any of those with you because I was trying to get the moving ones there. But if you
Hmm.
stop, if you can, if anyone can see these things moving on my pinky and this and the other thing, you can just strip those two little rays out or four little rays out, and you can again put it on a paper by itself, and you'll see them all moving because you can just do a copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, and you can put 100 of them on there. It's really, I
It's a
guess
strange
this is.
phenomenon because I can't stop
It
seeing
is.
it not moving. It seems like the beam is getting narrower and wider, just
Yes,
all of them
yes,
together, and
yes. Yeah, yeah,
it's wild. And I know it's an
yeah,
image.
yeah.
I know it's an image because I see it's a JPEG. You know what I mean? But yet
Yeah,
it's moving.
yeah. And anybody listening on in chat or whatever, or on YouTube or whatever, if you just print it out on your home printer or bring it to Walgreens for $1.59 and get an 8 by 10 or something, you can see it's still moving, and it just flips you out. And this is what really flipped me out. And then I knew that there was some more happening to me, and that's where all those Greek messages that I had sent you, I don't know if you were able to put that in the
Yeah.
compilation or
No,
what, but
no, I just got that
yeah, it's
today, but
okay.
that's strange. So somebody
Yeah.
sent you those symbols, and they didn't. They said it must have been an accident, right?
Right, right. Yeah. And then I look it up and find out what it means in ancient Greek. And that gentleman that you were just speaking to, gosh darn it, Mason,
Mason, yeah.
as well, yeah, as well as Scott Craig, they were shoot, lost my train of thought. They were
Oh,
also.
yeah, he was talking about the symbols that he got.
Yeah, and he didn't know, and you weren't supposed to see those yet. And I was supposed to see them for sure because, again, it really directed me to do something. And I felt as if the full moon on I'm sorry, of March of 2017 was the date that, and all these messages evaluated for me to be at a certain place at a certain time. And I really think that the energy, I got to tell you though, the energy from that comet Honda was in space or in the cosmos, and it was coming directly towards us. And I had a role to put that into the side of the mountain as an obulus.
Hmm.
And I began to say just a moment ago, and that obulus is a mountain range or a mountain, and I sent you a picture where the mountain blew up, and that was about 6 months prior to getting any messages or doing any of this in March of last year. And so I didn't know anyway. So I believe that there is an energy in a stone that goes about 500 to 1,000 feet, if not 2,000 feet, and that is the obvious. And in that same area is NORAD. In that same area is Tesla's, lived in Colorado Springs. He did his work here. And could there be some kind of ley line energy source right here that allowed for something like that happen? And I know that sounds crazy, that as if I'm directing energy, but that's exactly what it felt like. I directed the energy from the comet into an obulus. The obulus is now in the ley line, and I think that and my mission is to release that energy from the comet and have it take off from love, from my intention of love, and the God light to come out of me again, and to have that a release from the mountain. And it's no coincidence that NORAD is just another 6 miles down the road, if you know anything about NORAD.
NORAD is the
And
one in the movie War Games where they go into the mountain, right?
it is a real thing, and they have
Yeah.
it here in Colorado Springs, where it's a, I forget what the heck it is, some
Yeah, I
national
remember that.
defense. Yeah, yeah. So and so it's very, and anyways, they closed it, they reopened it 3 years ago. It's really weird, but there's something about this area, and everyone knows in the conspiracy world that Denver and the Denver airport and how they're on a ley line, and how, blah 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 blah. I really think it comes down here with me and Tesla area in Colorado Springs, but
Hmm.
anyways, I really feel like I'm going to release this energy from this mountain through the love and with this kind of power. And so I'm excited. And maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll tell you what, I'll spend another 5 years if I have to, because I believe and I know what my mission is. And this is part of it, whether or not there's seven of these portals or whatever they are, that there's seven of us or 7,000 of us or 144,000. I don't know. I don't need to be anyone special. I just know that I have something going on here, and
Yeah.
I am going to get it done, and bless the world. And I think it's poisoning these evil people. We talked about it the other night, and I think it's funny because I think that when you bless the waters of love and the Holy Spirit and the most evil person on this planet, they can't be anything but nice, and on top of that they live with that understanding of who they were, and perhaps will grow out of that. But I think that that is the hell that we might be speaking of. And so I'm not a big person that believes in the devil. I believe in evil people and
Hmm.
evil things going on, but I don't know about a fallen angel and all that, and maybe I need to be educated more. I don't know, but
I think
I
it's
do think that.
insignificant, even if it's real. I mean, even if you look at Jesus, he just sort of ignored his
Yeah.
his face to face with Lucifer or whatever. He just sort of ignored what he was saying and didn't listen. I think that was
Interesting.
a good indicator of how you deal with it. He's going to speak to your mind if there is something. If it is just
Yeah.
your own mind, whatever it is, it speaks to you, and you can either listen to it or you can ignore it. You know what I mean? And I think that's
Yeah.
the main thing. What's this pic here? With the it looks like a shooting star next to a
No,
house.
what this is, it's a new effect that has happened in the last 3 or 4 weeks. It is that when I look at a light and I look to the sky, there's a tracer. And when I look to a light and look to down, it comes right to me. There's a tracer now that I can see, and this one I was able to videotape. I just am in meditation, and I look at the light, and then I look up into the sky and take a picture, and this is what comes out.
Wow.
So it's a weird effect. I don't know what I'm supposed to know or understand about it, or what it all means, but it's every day, and it gets a little dangerous on the freeway when they have those LED lights on cars, and I drive a lot at night because I have a late shift, and that they'll leave tracers, and so it's hard to see the road because there's so many tracers. It's only happened 2 or 3 times, but this particular effect on lights have been going on almost on a daily basis. So I don't know what that means. I don't know. I don't know what that means. So
Yeah,
trying to figure out things.
Tony D just made the comment of why did the Freemasons bring the only giant Egyptian obelisk in the Western Hemisphere, Cleopatra's Needle, to New York's Central Park?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that makes me wonder. I don't really know why they did it, but it just seems
Well,
like
it traveled.
it
It traveled
must.
through Paris. It traveled to England. It traveled. They moved that damn thing around. I think that that right. That, well, maybe I
Yeah,
got a
would they
mistake.
really
No,
do that
yeah.
if it was pointless? If it was just art? Or
No, it
wouldn't they
was
just remake
symbolism.
it if it was just simply art?
Yeah. Well, here's what happened was when I got one of the Greek messages, I told God told me it was at Tiny Dancers in Denver I had to be at, and I had to 50 miles away. There's a rock called Castle Rock, and I'm supposed to. That's the obelisk. And I thought he was sending me that message, and so I told, I basically said, okay, I get it, I understand, I know where I need to go. And he sent another message, and he said, no, 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 huge obelisk, think huge. And I'm like, well, and so I did a Tiny Dancer lookup again because I had done it on Google, and one came up in Colorado Springs. I'm kind of like, what? There's one in Colorado Springs, and he's telling me it's a huge obelisk. You're wrong about the size of this other rock, and it's just incredible. And so I don't know. I just really feel like I was directed exactly what to do and how to do this, and the gold dust or whatever that could be coming out. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I just know that I did something that particular night, and I feel like it was a quickening. I felt like I was quickened, and I have the light within me now, and a strong light, and a strong, powerful. That sounds egotistic, and at the same time, I don't want it. Okay, I've never wanted to be a leader. I never wanted to do anything. I haven't. I've been an engineer, software, hardware. I've worked with lasers. I've worked with just incredible technology, And I want nothing to do. I always want to be the low guy. I never wanted to be a leader. And they made me a leader for 2 years on an international project in my software years. And I'm kind of like, I don't like this leadership position. And one of the text messages that I received from God, I'm going to say, it said, I was the ox, and I'm the year of the ox, and I have license plates that say ox, and I drive a Comet Honda. The synchronicities are just out of this world, And anyways, I sound really excited. I wanted to share my pictures there because I feel like it's finally someone can have proof to show that something is really whacked out here if they're able to see lines moving. Did you by any chance have that video of, and maybe you played it, I'm trying not to look at the screen, but of the
The street light.
yeah.
I've been trying to get that one to play this whole time, and I can't. For some reason, I can't get it to
Wow.
go to it.
Wow. Oh, bummer. Because that really sends a message home like, okay, now how did that happen? And then you bring in the pictures and say, okay, how did that happen? And then maybe this third eye that's being circled, and you're seeing these little circles everywhere. How is that happening? There's a lot of things here happening that just don't add up
Why is
to
it seeing a
our
face there where there's
reality.
no face and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, there's some, and that light ray one, there's a big circle around my chest or to my right, and there's a light ray going through it, and the light ray is moving within the circle. And that one there has me a little spooked, or not spooked, but it has me understanding that there's something with the light that I don't know why it's leaving huge circles around my heart, or on that particular shot on my hip and my heart kind of thing. And
Right.
so I don't know. So the nervous system, I heard you being interested in what Scott Craig was saying, and that was what can you do to help yourself? Well, I happen to be now working at a vitamin shop for the last year because part of the message had me understand that I had to take care of myself. What I did was I purposely did not take care of myself because I was probably the most excellent health person I've ever met in my entire life, and I thought that that's what brought on the light and the energy, and I did not want to have it. So I thought I'll just poison myself. I'll eat regular food,
Mm.
some Pizza
That's how
Hut
it
and some
works.
pizza
It's the
rolls, and
people that really
uh,
want to be the leader don't
yeah,
get to be the leader. It's the people that don't. I think
yeah.
that's by design. If you're the
On
kind of
God's
person that, or
behalf,
here we
God
go.
is using.
I actually found it here. Let me switch to it. If you're the kind of
Okay,
person that sort of like I'll let it roll while we're talking. But
okay.
yeah, I thought this was amazing because you can see like the light flash, and then a moment later you can sort of see energy. It looks like the light energy just gets pulled into the light, but it's rolling in the background, so people will see it as it's
Well, the
playing.
light came from behind me, Shane. I was sitting there praying, and a real bright light, came up behind me, and I didn't see it in the camera. And
There it
then I
went.
did see that,
It didn't
that
for you
burst.
yet. Yeah, you'll see it in a moment.
I see. Yeah. So the burst at the end looks like the phoenix. It looks like a fish in a human face, and it was just wild. And I'm like, and it really broke me in half, man. I'm like, oh
There it
my
went on for
goodness.
the people there.
Yeah, what can anyways. So
Yeah.
that was a year and a half ago, and I just thought, okay, I'm going to continue to work with the light. Here's what I do, Shane. Honestly, I look at a magazine in a store, and I concentrate and focus on it for 2 3 minutes, and it'll change like brightness or colors and such. And I'll look on the entire rack, and every one of them have changed. It's the Mandela effect that I'm seeing, and that was the same thing with that Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ picture that I spoke of on the last talk with you. Is
Uh-huh.
that shoot?
It's
I can't
fascinating,
find
man,
again.
because it's like it's okay. Here's what I think's sort of happening.
Sure,
I think it's like
sure,
our reality. You know, we're often told we're in a computer simulation or whatever, but it's not really a
yeah,
computer like we think a computer. It's more like a consciousness, sort of. And
mm,
there,
mm,
oh, it's
mm,
culminating into the bright light. I wanted to mention it in case people aren't looking at the screen. But
sure,
yeah, it's like we're consciousness beings, and our reality is a consciousness reality, and it's almost like we're hacking. We're able to just hack it with our consciousness. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's
totally.
like a hacker, but since it's not really a computer, it's all done in our mind, and you're sort of tapping into that, man. I think it's
I know.
extraordinary. That's
I
extraordinary.
know. I know. I know. And if that isn't extraordinary, I'm telling you, man, this big event with Angela speaking of all these hearts coming out of hearts, that's what I'm talking about. I'm
Yeah,
talking
man.
about blessing the water within everybody in the world, and hearts will come out of their hearts, kind of thing, because it will activate the Christ consciousness. It will have the Holy Spirit. It'll have the water that is structured with the Holy Spirit and love. And I'm so excited. I don't think I'm wrong on this. I'm a pretty smart guy, and I've
Yeah,
lived through hell and back, and I'm here for a reason, man. And I'll tell you what, my reason is that I always wanted to be the best father I could possibly be, and the most loving, and not necessarily the best, but the most loving. And my children know I love them to death,
yeah,
and so yeah, so that is why I am here. But my purpose. But what I had to learn is unconditional love. Now, and I have not known unconditional love until I had the children, and I didn't have them until 32, and then I was 41 when I had my second child, and I'm 56 now, and and um, and that is what it is. I have to, in my prayer, understand unconditional love. My father was probably the meanest person I have ever met, and and he's passed 3 4 5 years ago, and
hmm
I still think of him as needing the love and needed the light, and he didn't have it,
hmm
and I have no regret, no hatred towards him whatsoever, and I have every reason to be hateful to that. I have another person that I should be very hateful to, and they're alive, and I bless the waters within them, saying you need to have the love spirit and the love within you, and
hmm
I want them to heal. I want everyone to heal,
yeah.
and including the meanest and the worst people in the world. I don't care. I want everyone to heal, and they will. So
Yeah,
go
definitely,
on,
man. I've
on.
been dealing with the same thing. It's like once you reach a certain level of understanding, it's like you realize that even the most evil people are just deceived. They've gotten caught in quicksand, so to speak, and they're getting pulled
Yeah,
down. And
yeah,
you know, a lot of people want to go over there and step on their head, but I don't. I want to hand them a stick and help them out. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And just because you know that that could be you over there, you could have made all of those choices
yeah.
and got
Oh,
caught yourself.
totally.
You know?
Thank God I'm broke. I'm totally broke ass mother, because I'll tell you, if I had a lot of money, I'd probably be a horrible person. I
Yeah,
think I would. I think it would just, the power is evil, or
yeah,
it would turn me into a piece of shit compared to what I am. And
yeah,
so
definitely, man.
when I got this first energy wave 5.5 years ago, I put everything I owned. I wanted no possessions. It was the weirdest thing you had ever seen in your life. I pushed out washers, dryers, refrigerators, TVs, everything I had in the house. I sold immediately because I didn't. I don't know. There was something about the fact that holding possessions was leading me down the wrong road, and we're all on that same road where I want a
Yeah,
nicer car and a nicer this and a nicer that. And anyways, and I've made some really good money as in my life, and I could care less about money, and I always felt that way. I don't
yeah.
care about money. I don't. And so
I could
I
see
think
the
it's
trap of it
helped.
all. I could see, you know, the more money
Yeah,
you make, the bigger house you get, and you're just always
yeah,
barely surviving. I'm like, I don't want to do that. This is a good enough house for me. And, you know, and then I wanted to scale back the amount I was working and spend more time
yeah,
with the
yeah,
family instead of getting
yeah.
caught in that whole. it's the grinding will. You know what I
It
mean?
is.
It's
I
like it
took two
grinds
years
you
off when
down.
my son, yeah, my son was born. I said, I'm taking 2 years off from work. And I took 2 years off from work and raised that boy. We have a bond so tight, it's incredible. And, but I shelter him completely from what I'm going through because he's not ready.
Yeah.
And I do that for everybody. If you really love people and they're not catching on and they're not understanding, don't hurt them. Don't turn on the light before they're ready because it's hard enough. I know what it's like to have the light turned on when you ain't ready. Hell, it happens to me almost every day.
Hmm.
I don't need them to have their light. They are very content, and the change will be done differently then. If they're not on board, they're not on board. And I don't scare people, and I don't show photos, and I don't do anything because nobody needs to be scared. They need to know the love, and so I love them by not sharing information with them, and comforting them in that way. So
Yeah. Some people just
uh,
aren't ready. You know. And I think
totally
that the
not.
system seems to be set up in a way that if they're not
Yes,
ready, they just automatically reject it, and they think it's
yes.
silly or whatever. It's almost
It's
like
hard.
if somebody's one step ahead of you, they're a genius, but if they're two steps ahead, they're just what's the word for it? They're
Right.
bonkers or whatever. So that's neat. But yeah, it's really cool to see this all
Phone is
coming.
beeping. Oh, there we go. No, I lost you again.
Oh, I can hear you.
Oh, now I can hear you. Oh,
So yeah,
oh,
man, it's been wonderful to have you back on again. And now we got some actual
yeah,
pictures to show people, and I think this is
yeah.
something everyone can do. It's just,
I do.
yeah, we don't
Yeah.
spend the time on doing it that
I
you've spent. How long do you
well,
meditate? Someone asked how much time you spend meditating.
you know, I took today off from work for first time in 10 months, I think, and I have off tomorrow. I don't know. It's like you said. Okay, honestly, I do. I set aside 3 hours in the morning, so I drive my kid to school at 7 o'clock, and at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, I stop praying and meditating, and then I get ready for a night shift work. I get out at 10, get home around 11, and I pray until about 2 in the morning. I have like no sleep, 3 4 hours sleep, and it's fine. I think it's because I take like 19
I
nutrient
just got
and I
ringing in
would.
my right ear. Sorry to interrupt.
That's funny.
It's my higher self saying this is the amount of time I need to be spending. I just don't have that
No,
kind of time.
no,
But
no. Honestly, within 2 minutes, I am totally locked and loaded, and the camera, everything is there. It doesn't take that long, no, and that's why I've been trying to, and I keep stepping over because I have so much information I wanted to share. But honestly, the prayer. Um, uh, if somehow you can realize this is important, the way I bring this love to a level that you cannot believe is because what I do, the Mandela effect, what's it all about? Or the Mandela effect is probably more accurate, but what's it all about? It's about our memories, and what I do is remember that death moment and how I was saved. I remember on the loving note, because that's the second step I take after I state I am I am the resurrection and I am the life. After that, and after I am the balancing breath, I then step into full love mode. And what I do is think about that first girl I ever kissed and how wonderful, and fireworks were going off. And that one girl and it's not just that, my child being born, and this and that. Every loving friggin' moment that it just digs me. I'm like, oh man, I loved it when that was happening. Oh, I was so in love, and this and thing, and I feel all the love. I mean, I think it helped have 70 girlfriends because uh, I use them. Some people I've been friends with for 40 years. My first fiance and I were still very close. It was 35 years ago, and I
Roger the
think of
player, huh? I'm just playing.
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. Just time and place. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I don't mean to. Yeah, and that sounds egotistic as well. But I use that. And if you have three loving moments where the Notebook was playing and the movie was on, and you felt like you were going to go in tears because of that love that you were feeling for that couple, and so I'll use movies. I'll use anything. Whatever I can feel. And what I'll tell you, the first thing I do, of course, is I love my daughter so much. Oh my God, I love my daughter so much. And and I bring that all that love thought and that memory that I think is stored, whether it be in the left brain, right brain, or in the heart. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But I live that moment, relive that moment exactly how it was and is, and I think that's important. And I don't know if you played the sound. It's pretty embarrassing. I think my prayer, but on that one with the light pole, did you happen to play sound or no sound?
Oh no, no, I didn't have the sound up, or it was down at least
Okay.
some
Well,
because you were
anyways,
talking.
here's the light fired off, and that whole thing afterwards happened because of these words. I basically said, and I still feel this today, that I am the power of God, not the God of gods, or the source, but
Right.
I have within me God powers. That's what I
Yeah,
mean
it's
to
like we're
say, and I have the
vessels. It's like we're vessels
yes,
of that can, if we choose, can hold that very I am presence of Father God.
yes, yes.
Yeah. So I totally get it. I mean, people is like, how are you saying that you're God? It's like you don't realize that I view it just the opposite. To say I'm walking around talking and breathing and thinking without the power of God in me is just as blasphemous as you think it is to say I have God in me. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right,
It's like
right,
how
right.
much do you want to indwell yourself with that power of God is up to you. But the very
Yeah,
fact you're walking
good
around
point.
and talking and thinking lets me know you have the power of God in you bringing you to life. God is what brings us to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we have the God light inside of us. And I think that heart chakra green and the green man and the Comet Honda energy green, I think all that is God's light. That is God's light within you that you can fire up if you can get the Christ consciousness, the nervous system, and the love in your heart. And then you start breathing ether. That's what happens. Then ether comes out of my mouth and it can be visibly seen. You can't see most things without the camera,
Well,
but you can sit in a
while
room
you're
with me.
speaking of the green, I'm noticing the images with the
Mhm.
green. Was that? And it's not a lens flare because there's no light within the screen to even.
No,
Right.
yeah, no, no, no. It's right under, and it's a pitch black underneath a fan that I was sitting in and
Yeah,
it
that's
splashed me on the
amazing.
face. Yeah, well, and these are videos as you can see, but what happened was my really close, loving friend that I've leaned on for about 6 months, 6 months ago, she just basically said, Roger, I don't know what's going on. I'm seeing all this shit that's going on, and I see it as evil, and you need an exorcist. You need to get yourself cleaned up, man. You are in bad shape. And it scared the hell out of me. So I deleted everything I had. I had a half a terabyte of proof, a half a terabyte of proof, 550 gigs of video after video after video of angels and this and that, and I destroyed it all because I thought she was right. Within a week, I knew she wasn't. I'm like, this is not evil. This is anyway. So,
Yeah, it's that fear programming, man. That's why I'm
yeah,
always telling people
but
just consider this other stuff because there's been a lot of fear that's been placed on us by religion that
uh,
Jesus didn't teach
uh,
like that, man. It's like
I
just
know you've been
trust
an
Jesus.
excellent you've been an excellent insight to that for me though. I'm not again not read a Bible, heard of a lot of scripture over the last 5 years. I listen to scripture and such, but I do not know the Bible, and I do know the Bible changes
Yeah.
without question. I must have 400 Mandela effects easily. And the thing is that if you start looking at the Mandela effect a little differently in regards to there's a pattern, and that is my career. That is what I've done, and I look for patterns. And the pattern is that all the A's are changing, all the T's that you mentioned are changing. I'm looking right now at First Bank, and First Bank, if you have that in your area or anything, the K no longer exists. It's first with the T chopped off, and then bank with no K. It has a less than sign for the K, and it's such an illusion and delusion kind of thing. If you pull up for
Wow.
First Bank, you would see that, and so yeah, that green light was in videos, and what it would do is it would travel all the way across the room, and I would be saying something like, "Oh God, can we?" And then the light would light up and shoot across the room, and I would have a 2 second clip of this. Everything moves fast. All these angels, everything moves fast. If you put it in slow mo, you would see more things.
Yeah.
So I had that happen about 5 or 6 times. That godlight or that chakra come out of my mouth, and I was able to capture it on film. And what I think that was is, man, I could not have been more connected. I don't know. Anyway, so I think it had to do with me just having the quickening, I don't know, with this. I don't know, but that light was coming out of me, and it was spooky. It's spooky. It's weird. It's hard, and especially if no one will look at it, or you don't want to scare people, and so you're all alone, and you're like, I got it, and so I'm full feet in. I am going to do this. God has saved my life. Christ has saved my life a million times. I should not be walking alive at all, and I am in perfect health, and I mean perfect health. It's unbelievable how healthy I am, and I want to share, and this is so important. This is who I am. Before all this happened, I was doing a Gerson therapy, trying to get certified for Gerson to save people from dying of cancer. It's a miracle that occurred 80 years ago with fruits and vegetable juicing and getting people detoxed and getting the toxins out of their body and bringing in live enzymes. And I was doing this for free for years for people. I wanted people to heal and get better, and that's who I am and who I was. And then I took a life coaching a course for $5,000 because I found out that people won't eat right, even though it'll cure them because of psychological stuff. So I tried to psychologically understand people so that I could help them with the Gerson therapy. And then finally, all my work. And I'm talking about I have 7 different free energy devices. Everything from dripping water to flower pots anyways, I have all these devices that can make free energy, but I can't do anything with them. The government won't allow me to, and it's everybody knows about them. It's not even like I know. Well, anyways, some people know about them.
Right, right. Yeah,
And
I've
so
seen
I
stuff
learned
too.
from other people, and I know how to make free electricity. But here's the gig: is I thought that we were going to get hit by a Nibiru or this, that, and the other thing, and I was learning all these things, just like Scott Craig said. Why am I learning all these things? I know more about water than people know about their teeth. I mean, I know so much about everything about water, and I know everything about energy. And I'm like, why am I trying to develop energy? I don't care about energy. It was all part of the message that I had to know all about free energy, and I had to know all about water to understand what I'm doing. So
Yeah, and that's a huge
when it comes,
expense. Even for people in apartments, usually they have to still pay the electric, and that's just
uh,
more to keep
I,
us at the
I
grind.
Well, I thought I was going to change the world by sharing the free energy through the mind, and honestly, it doesn't take down the cabal completely. When you bless them with water within, with love and the Holy Spirit, then the world changes. Not when someone somehow releases free energy, Donald Trump, because he was supposedly related to an uncle who knew Tesla or some crazy thing. It's not about free energy like of that nature. It's the energy within us that will change all of us, and so. Yeah, I'm telling you, I could rant forever. I gotta get off your call, but
Oh
we're
no, that's
close.
it's
We're
totally cool,
close. I'm
man.
telling you, I know what I'm talking about. I'm a smart guy. I have studied this crap, and I know. And if you want to help yourself within, here's what I was trying to say before: is that you don't need to purify your body at all. You could be a piece of crap like I was, and you can't poison yourself enough. This energy will clean itself up. However, no problem with understanding that people want to get their health together. And again, the Gerson therapy is a miracle. Water that I learned about, distilled water has a free electron that'll pull out every toxin out of your body. You want to drink a gallon or a gallon and a half of distilled water every day. And when you drink water, no matter what water it is, of course, bless it, as we've spoken before, if you
Hmm.
really want to get the power of distilled water, structured and a free electron. A free electron will go through your body and pull out any toxic material from mercury to anything in your body, and you'll have it removed. And so I strongly suggest, and the other thing I've learned in that download that I got was photonutrients. No one ever talks about photonutrients, and photonutrients is a key on how to get your body full of minerals, is what you're trying to do. And it also offers support to the nervous system. And
Hmm.
when you get your body um, uh, uh, shoot, I lost my train. With photonutrients and minerals, you are part of the earth. That is God's blessing. Here's how it's going to happen. You know anything about photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is light hitting the chlorophyll I don't have the complete story, right? Photosynthesis is a miracle on how
Right.
that works, where light comes in and hits water and makes chlorophyll. If I have my numbers right and things lined up here,
Right,
my
like a plant.
quick
It's
train.
you're transforming
Yes,
the light's
yes.
transferring the water within the organism. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, exactly. And there's going to be a new process that I pray for, and that is that it's going to be like called photosynthesis. I don't care what you call it. It's going to be the same thing. The light that comes down and hits this planet will create within. It's called radiant light, and
Hmm.
radiant light is all light. And radiant light in Gerald Pollack's lessons on water and H2O3 and how plants actually move all their water from the ground all the way to the tip of the tree. That's done through H2O3. But anyways, there's going to be a new process that God's light is going to allow that everybody's body now create its own photosynthesis, not within a plant, but within us. And
Right.
that will change the structure of water within us to love. And I'm telling you, man, that's the message. If I could tell anyone, and again, purifying the body, I just love it because people heal, people super heal. But
Hmm.
people super heal just praying to Christ and getting one with the Lord, really. And again, it seems so weird. My family thinks I'm so weird. I've never said a word God or the Lord or Jesus in 50 years. They're like, where is this cat coming from? They're so wigged out. They're like, man, this guy thinks he's Mr. God or something. I'm like, yeah, you got it right. That's what's going on. We're all God, gosh darn it, and we all need to unite. And you can't get anyone to unite.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because, man, if I get my family or a few friends or something, just praying and meditating, maybe your group, Shane, in the group meditation to this information I'm sharing here tonight.
I'm glad you
I'm
said
telling
that.
you,
I
man,
need to repost the video because I'm still doing the 2 o'clock um, meditations or whatever, like I always
yeah,
have. And I
yeah,
don't know if
group
everyone else
meditation, yeah,
continued, but I need
right.
to repost that for people who are just now coming on board because I think it's good if we can all. Well, for me, it's 2 o'clock, but it's. I'll just repost that thing just to make sure
Well,
everybody's still
that'd
on
be
board.
great. That'd be great because, but again, I don't know what this is going to be. I think of the wave, the ninth wave, really, and
Hmm.
again, Scott Craig talking about. There's the wave, there's the Schumann resonance. That's important. Right now, we are on fire. The
Yeah.
Schumann resonance is off the chart,
Yeah,
man.
you just sent
It's
that to me
always up.
earlier. That's amazing. And
Yeah,
somebody's
it's
mentioning the book you mentioned, Dr. Emoto's book is the best.
yeah,
Myra Star, definitely. He spoke about that before, and that was from the What the Bleep Do You Know movie. They had a big
yeah,
segment with
yeah,
him
yeah.
in the water. Yeah,
Yeah, come on now. We have the science. We have the proof that you can structure water to different structures.
yeah,
And
with
once
just your
again, Shane,
consciousness. Yeah,
Shane, once again, it's memory. He
hmm,
has proven that water has memory, and you can put memory to water. It's all about the Mandela effect again. Memory, memory, memory. You have it. If there's any message that is being sent by the Mandela effect, is the fact that that memory is a big key here. And a key here for me, again, is the death memories, the love memories, and the water can be structured with memory. And we will see. I don't know. I mean, I'm not that smart. I'm not God, so I have no idea what he's got planned. But water is a big thing. If you look at the Bible, water was the witness with, I believe, the Holy Spirit and God's voice or something. There's some scripture that speaks of the water being one of the three uh, important things. So, anyways, I could talk about water forever because it's so true that we have the proof that we can change water. So why don't we? And I love the idea that you're blessing it before, but Everyday Masters, if you're familiar with his channel, he says he talked all about Emoto as well, and he speaks of why would we bless the water outside of us when we're made up 2/3 of water? Why not bless the waters within us?
yeah,
Then you're going to see it, and that's what it's all about. It can be outside or inside, but it's about your water within being blessed with the Holy Spirit, and yeah, I'm
definitely.
I'm excited, Shane. I'm so
Yeah,
excited. I have
and Gaia and everything. Everything is like 2/3
yes,
water. You know what I
yes.
mean?
We need to structure this water, and again, where the evil stops and the cabal and blah 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 is really again poisoning them with love in their own body of water. It really is, and that will straighten them out and have them have some second thoughts of doing anything wrong. They can't. See, the whole thing is that why the cabal and why the elite are afraid of what's going on right now is because you can't do anything with hate. You can't say I hate you so rob a bank, or I hate you so money will fall. If the word hate or the feeling of hate is involved whatsoever, this power does not allow this photon belt or whatever we're in, this Holy Spirit, whatever, it does not allow you to change anything. Anything. It has to be out of the act of love
Yeah.
for this power to work. And
Yep.
I have
Love is the
power.
key.
It's totally it. It's totally it.
And it's
All
something
right,
that's in
Shannon.
all of our grasp. If we just spend the time and raise our vibrations, and we will ascend together as a group, I believe.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, as Angela said, everything, everyone in there will have hearts coming from them. And as Scott Craig had said, everyone will go out into the parking lot and feel it. It's that way. It's so weird. I mean, that's the only way these things could really happen, is if you change everyone within. And there's only, I don't know, there's only blood and skin. I mean, there's only so many things. But Emoto's work was so important because it's showing you that water, you can't change blood, as far as I know. You can't change the plasma, and you can't change brains, but you can
Right.
change the water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And water's in
uh,
all of those things.
I
So,
know, I
so
know.
yeah,
We're
if you
we're
change the
we're
water,
gonna
you're
get there.
changing everything.
You are, and you're changing the universe. I like I
Yeah.
said, man, I wish I would stopped at the world saying, okay, just change everybody's body. And I'm like, no, no, man, there's another kid on another planet somewhere in this universe that their water needs to be changed as well. So
Yeah.
you really try to feel like you're at the tree of life when you make that connection through the ebb and flow, and you have that energy going back and forth from source. You pretend that you are in source and you are speaking for God. And I began to say earlier, when that video of the light pole happened, I said, I am asking God for His voice at this time to send the message, and I said, free energy is ours. And when I said the word is, that spark of light came across that phone pole. I think it has a lot to do with the box of chocolates. It is not was, it is. And that
Right.
word is really powerful, as well as the other ones that you've mentioned,
Yeah.
the
It's
I
sort of
am and
like I
whatnot.
am. It's sort of.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. I killed you, Shane. I've taken way too much of your time. I'll probably never go back on
Dude.
here again, but I
Oh
wanted to
no,
share
man.
a fun
I've
spot with you.
appreciated you and everybody saying that they a great guest and stuff like that. So no, this was a message that people needed to hear, and they can tune out if they don't want to
Excellent.
hear
Please.
it.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Shut me off. Shit. Everyone else shuts me off. I'm not hurt. I don't know if you are,
Oh,
but
you're in the right crowd
um,
here, buddy. So
yeah, I hope a few of your listeners, and Suso, he was an excellent. I found angels in all kinds of Suso's work. He's one of your subscribers, and I subscribe to his channel and have listened to him for at least a year, if not longer.
yeah, me
And
too.
he has light rays and angels all around him that I just freeze the YouTube. I find them everywhere. These phenomena that I'm filming don't have to do anything with me. I can freeze a TV and do a zoom on it, and I can show you a line wiggling there on pause. I mean, it's everywhere. The light is wiggling everywhere, and that's how the manifestations possibly
It's
of these
alive.
letters and so on and so forth are changing. And
Yeah.
and there's a big heavy influence of Greek, and that gentleman that spoke of Mason spoke of that the green man kind of stuff. That is ancient Greek. Every time you find that, if you could study long enough, you'll find that the Greek, old ancient Greek, we're going back to old ways. And I thought that was within the Bible scriptures as well, but I don't know them really well. But you're seeing a lot of ancient Greek, and there's a reason for that. And that's how the message is being sent to us. And I think that guy Andrew Bachnov, that you had,
Oh
I
yeah.
think I'm saying his name, he does an excellent job going to his channel and looking at the Greek and everything he deciphers. He is a smart man when it comes
Yes.
to understanding that. He's into the geometry a little bit, I think, or something.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
so
He's
much,
helped me a
but
lot with the numbers and stuff.
he's a smart guy, man. He knows what
Yeah.
he's talking about. He taught me everything I needed to know to understand ancient Greek, and there is a trend out here on planet Earth showing ancient Greek, and
Yeah. With
including
a lot of
possibly
the
that green
A's
light.
losing the little cross piece and turning
Yes,
into lambdas and
yes,
all that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. and you're right on the money on that T, man. Everything from your the statue there. I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. To the
Yeah, with the
T.
shift to the right and the
Yeah.
thinker
Oh man,
stature and
this,
all that, saying to get
you
back
are
to the
so
right part
smart.
of the brain. Those are all
You are.
things that, just like Mason was talking about, where he just got it in his head. I know I didn't think of that stuff because after I got that, and then people send me a video that was talking about it from 5 years ago, and I know I didn't watch that video back then. So,
Right, right,
you know,
right.
and I know I didn't just think of it and just come up with it. I'm not that smart. You know what I mean? So,
I think you're a really smart guy. You've put a great group together here, and again, I feel
dude,
very
it's like family.
fortunate to
It's
run
like
across.
we're all a big star family, and we're just
And
getting
if I
together.
may, do you know anything about the Bible when it comes to this family recognition of there is the 144,000 that many people are familiar with, but one of the
Hmm.
Greek messages clearly stated that I was a leader within Genesis. They gave me, it provided me the Alpha Omega, which is seen only in Genesis, is to the best of my knowledge. And in Genesis, there are said to be 7,000 chosen ones, and that's
Hmm.
and I don't mean to sound egotistic, but I feel like I have been chosen for this. I did not, I mean, a little bigger role than maybe Moneybag 73. I think he does a fantastic job. Thank heaven he's been there to kind of show me some more changes, kind of stuff.
Right. That
But I
gets to
think
the
that
whole golden child thing that I was talking about, where Eddie Murphy pokes fun at the fact that he's the golden child, and I think a lot of people have a hard time sort of grasping that we all have our roles to play, and you could definitely be, because clearly you've learned how to sort of hack the matrix here. You know what I mean?
I think so, and it's so
And if we
weird
can
when you say
all
that.
do that together, wow!
Oh,
Imagine what we
how,
could do. You know?
I'll tell you what, for 5 years, I kept telling everyone the 100th monkey, the 100th monkey, the 100th monkey. I swear there's just like 100. We
Yeah.
just need that one more jump and we're in kind of stuff. And so I promoted the 100th monkey theory year after year throughout the Mandela, or I'm sorry, it was anyways, Facebook pages I've been in for 5.5 years because I had nowhere to turn
Hmm.
because no one understood anything. And yeah,
So what are you
and for
thinking about
three,
this whole 222 thing, the whole eye thing? Do you think that might increase our
I'm
abilities?
excited. I don't know. I
If
know
they could
nothing.
shave our three
You
hours
know,
of meditation you do down to like a half hour and stuff, maybe more of us would be able to do it. Because I think
now
many of us are
you
meditating, but in a half hour to an hour or something like that, just not 3 hours, you
Yeah,
know?
I know I sound insane there, but it's my life, and I'm giving my life to this cause because
Yeah,
I am so close. I feel like I'm right about to get off the finish line, and I probably felt that way for a year. I kept thinking, kind of the quickening of last March. I thought for sure something's going to happen. I was really down, man. When April came, I'm like, holy shit! And that's when that girl stepped in and said, "You got to get your life together, man. You are." Crazy. Yeah, 18 hours of prayer. What are you, an idiot? Get off the, you're praying to the wrong God, man. I'm telling you, that devil's using your ass kind of stuff. And I'm like, no, 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 this is God working with me. And she got me thinking like, no, this can't be because I'm wearing myself down. But I tell you what is that I am trying to, and I do a horrible job here tonight, but I am trying to tell you that through all this meditation and all this effort that I have made, it gives me signs and tells me, Roger, it is Jesus Christ that you want to have filling your heart right now. Roger, it's this. Roger, it's that. And it
hmm,
tells me in very simple prayer of 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and I have done the work. I ain't telling you, but I ain't done because I got another 5 minutes so I could do some more work. And so it's the
right.
same message over and over, and it is to get that heart to feel the love that I spoke of through the memories that you can, everything you can put together, just like you're doing a download to them. I shoot off 500 feelings in a half a second saying, how do you like that? Because it's a situation where your heart is just on fire, and that's where the
Yeah,
fire comes from. You have water, you have fire, you have air going into your body with the good breathing, and you have the minerals from the earth that have been created and installed in me, and I am just this piece of plasma that's just ready to roll. And
right.
you got plasma within your blood. People forget about that. I used to donate blood because I'm an O negative, and they love my blood, so they take 2 pints from me instead of 1 pint and give me plasma as a backup because they were taking too much blood out of me, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
and so anyways, that with yeah, so I think you can breathe plasma out and create that plasma with those four elements within you. And
Yeah.
I don't think I don't want everyone spending this silly ass time that I spend on it. What I think my mission must be here talking to you tonight is really to instate how it's done. And finally, that's it. You're the balancing breath. You're the resurrection of life. You are the love. You are the light. And I am now sending that love to the universe and to change all the waters of the universe. I am God. I am at source. I am speaking from source, and I am sending it from source to the universe of love and
Yeah.
and structuring of the water. And that's the whole message. And if you could do that in 2 minutes, you should be able to. That's enough. And I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't be ridiculous like me. Don't be a retard like me. I'm gifted. I'm gifted, and I know it. And I ain't wasting any time. And I don't
Right.
care if this takes another 5 years. If I need to be on the side of the mountain, getting that damn common Honda energy out or whatever it takes, kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I'm on it. And don't, yeah, so please, 2 minutes a day, like you said. And I never speak a word now in prayer. I hardly ever, unless I'm recording. I want to remember what I was saying or something. And usually I don't have to do that. So
Right.
I do everything through telepathic means. I don't do it in any other way. I don't need to. And as a matter of fact, God sent me a message. He goes, you know what? You don't need to be shouting and yelling, because that's what I do. I just like I'm doing now. I swear to God, he said use a biblical. It's some kind of sign. I got whatever,
Yeah, that's
and it
exactly why
said,
I turned it down. I'm like, you're like, were you playing the sound? I'm like, no, we wouldn't have been able to hear if I had been playing the sound.
"Oh, I'm sorry." Yeah,
No,
I get
no, it's
so
totally
excited.
fine. But yeah, I just wanted
Yeah.
people to hear,
But
be able
no,
to hear
he
you.
said, shut up. You don't need. I mean, I think people were hearing me. They were giving me like batteries for my car and stuff. They're like, I feel kind of bad for you. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, here's $200 to get a battery. I'm like, oh, no, I just jump started. I'm fine. I'm fine. They're like, no, no, here's two. And I think that dude heard me praying in the garage. And that was the time I threw some light. I threw that green light in the garage. I'm telling you, man, people are so nice and so sweet to me. My ex-wives could hardly stand me. They love me to death, and they think I'm out there and they're worried about me, but we have a coolest relationship ever. I mean, I put it together, man. I am. No one hates me. Everyone loves me and likes me,
It's an
kind of stuff.
intensity
And
thing, you know. People
pardon.
love it when they can deal with you a little bit, but to have to live with you, it's you know probably a little too much. You know what I mean? It's like misery loves company sometimes, man, and like sometimes, you know, that's just how it is,
Uh,
you know.
no, I'll tell you what happened. I got to be honest with you, man. I have been on a thin line here, and for 4 years I worked, but 2 years I didn't, kind of thing. And my ex-wives bring me in for years and say, "You're a great guy. You're a loving guy. I could use some help here and there. Come live with me." And I'm like, I'm, so I've lived with my ex-wives for the last couple of years because they are offering to help me, I guess. But I'm talking about we are a very loving to one another, and this
Hmm.
is not normal, really, kind of
Right.
stuff. And we had some rough times and that kind of stuff. But I put down the sword or whatever with everyone and anyone. My father and this other creep and this and that. Everyone is not anything but loving to me and from me, and so I don't know, but everything I tried to invent, free energy, solar distillers, all the things that I put together and made,
Hmm.
um, um, was could never be about I could have it, but you couldn't. Everything I did for 3 or 4 years in creating devices and doing things had to be that the neighbor next door has a hot water heater. He's got a magnet. He's got a tube. He's got a he has everything in his house. I could make oxygen and hydrogen and through electrolysis, and I was able to separate oxygen and hydrogen so that anyways, where I'm going with this is that, but it was no good. My idea was never good. If like the Bendini wheel you can make free electricity, but you need a transistor, you need a this, you need a that. What I have done is I said, no, that won't work. I can't use that. I always had to have it so my neighbor next to me could create distilled water. And
Hmm.
the way they do that is you urinate into a distiller. The water distills and it's pure water, and you get rid of any crap that might be left behind, kind of stuff. So everybody in my block would have have water. Nobody would in my town, in my
And
city.
they could
I
get rid of
wanted
their
everyone to
toilets,
have
right?
water.
I'm
Well,
just
yeah, but I'm serious. I'm serious. And no one looks at that as a source of water. I think that's how Jesus Christ made it in the desert for, I'm sorry, 40 days and 40 nights. I think there was he was using his urine as a means of water,
a distiller,
kind
huh?
of thing. Yeah, well, I don't, maybe it didn't have to be distilled. I don't know, but all I'm saying
Oh
is that
well,
there's
if
a
he could
source
turn
of.
the yeah, if he could turn the water into wine, you never know what he did, right?
Right, he turned what a stone into bread, right? I mean,
Yeah,
right? And so, yeah, no, that man, that he's my hero for sure.
yeah,
And
he
and
could hack the
and
system for sure. So
Oh yeah, no, you could heck if I can do what I'm doing kind of stuff. But my point was being is that everything that I came up with, how to feed people, how to, it was never about myself. It could not be about myself. It had to be about everyone. And so I have things. If the shit hits the fan, man, you want to be with me because I am a survivor. I got survival skills that no Marine or anyone has. I mean, my stuff is crazy kind of stuff. And I hope I don't need it. I think it was a lesson that there's energy in water, and I think I've got the two put together now. But if
right,
ever we have a crisis or anything like that, I believe me, I'm going to get every neighbor on board with how to survive kind of stuff. So
that's awesome,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Well, hopefully
But
it
I
doesn't
hope that
come to
never.
that, you know.
No. That's why that's why I tried to say. I think it was a message to Roger. You need to know about energy, and you need to
Yeah,
know about water. And I'm like, why do I need to know this? So again, Scott Craig saying the same thing. Why am I learning things here? There's no reason I should be learning this crap, but there is a reason. And as far as the February 22nd, I'll tell you what, man, I hope it is. I thought maybe the January timeframe was going to be something super, super big because according to astronomy, there was the aligning of the Aquarius and coming into the age of Aquarius, is my understanding. But nothing really big happened, I guess, other than
yeah,
a
and then the
brand new
moon.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, super moon and the blood moon and this, that, and the other thing. I kept
yeah.
thinking, oh man, this could be something big. So February 22nd, I hope it's something big because I'll tell you what, if there's an eye of energy out there, it'd be looking for me. And I'll be looking for it. Yeah. Oh, I
Definitely,
am
man.
tapped in. Oh man, I'm taking the day off from work there or not. I'll be working on a night shift,
And I
a
think
graveyard
my
shift.
channel's birthday is either the 21st or the 22nd. I need to look that back up, but
Holy
I
crap!
think it's
Wow.
actually on the 22nd. I'll throw a big old channel party, I guess, or
Cool. Yeah,
put some
yeah,
balloons on the
yeah.
screen or something, make it look more
Boy,
festive.
I think we were just months away. I think everything from Angela and her son, and my heart goes out to her. She's just been a super super sport, and yeah, everyone feeling like the event is close. I got a feeling they might be, and again, I don't know. I feel like I might be one of the blessed 7,000, and I have to participate. And so, someone like yourself or someone else, not to do, you might be part of that same 7,000, but I don't think anyone has to do stupid things like me and meditate so much. But as I said, I don't do this. It's like going to the movie and making your own movie. I mean, it's straight up what you talked about with Mason. It's you're creating a movie here, and you're seeing some proof, some hard proof on the documentation that you offered tonight. And one last thing on a Mandela. I know I'm killing you. I'm serious. I'm getting off the call, but Mandela effect. I don't think anyone has talked about this. And my car. I'll tell you what. Again, a Honda and the emblem has changed. I drive a Civic and the V has been broken. And I drive an old Civic, so it's in the lights. They don't have an emblem. It's broken. I have license plates that were just issued out to me 6 8 months ago, kind of stuff, and they had the word ox on them, kind of stuff. And there's all these correlations to the Greek messages as well as Greek history, if you will. Oh shoot, I wanted to. But the biggest Mandela effect that no one's talking about is the license plates. My license plate, I had it memorized, and I've seen license plates. I'm 56 years old. I've seen license plates all my damn life. There are no more hyphens. All hyphens have been removed.
That's
There
crazy,
is
isn't it?
no dashes. Yeah, we got license plates at my work. They're 1961, 1973. They all have the state of Colorado. It's a message, I believe, that's saying that this is an individual type of kind
So
of
you're
thing.
saying you're not talking about okay, so you're talking about on the actual tag number, the way it used to
Yeah,
have 3 digits, a dash, and 3 digits, and it no
yeah,
longer. Oh,
No,
wow.
no, no state anywhere. They put the state in there. They'll
Oh,
put a picture of Florida. They'll put a
holy cow.
statue
I'm
of.
just now
Yeah, they're all
realizing.
gone.
So
They're
it's
all
like it never
gone.
was that way?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
just
bro.
like everything else, like it never was that way. And I can't find any residue other than I did a search on Google. Maybe you can do that too. You go on the search of Google and you say documentation of what states can have special characters, and they'll list you a whole thing, all 50 states. It'll say Colorado is allowed to have a dash, it's allowed to have, hyphen, it's allowed to have this special symbol and that special symbol, and that's it kind of stuff. But there's never been a dash in any license plate in. And I started looking in Europe, and they're gone in Europe too. And
Wow.
I don't investigate Mandela effects too often, but that one was right on my car again. I'm like, my car changed again, and
Wow.
yeah, I'm
Man,
like,
I'm glad you
what
shared
is
that
this?
because I had no idea about that.
Oh, check this out in Colorado, man. They've got a watermark that has now been created. And so it has the state of Colorado, which is nothing but a square or a dot. So every license plate in Colorado now that had a hyphen has a dot or a square. And then off the square below it, there is the watermark of a of eight, and there's an eight above and an eight below. And eight to me is a means of wholeness,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And so it's sending a message to me saying that the reason this has happened is each state is kind of like there is no conjunction, there is no unity, there's no join. And I know that sounds creepy or evil, just like so many different things could be interpreted that way, but I think it has to do with it's about self. It's about your water. When you bless your water, you are pure enough now to bless the universe water. And so that double eight watermark never existed, and they're on all the old cars as well. It's yeah. So look at that's the biggest Mandela that no one talks about. But I see Mandelas all day long. Brand new stuff like First Bank again. If you ever bring that up, you're going to see the K is completely gone. I showed it to a friend yesterday. He's kind of like, man, that is so crazy. You don't even see it's missing, but it's missing. So,
Right.
anyways, First Bank is another one. But yeah, look into the license plate, man. I think it went worldwide, just like that stupid. The worst one of all is that non-pedestrian. I'm sorry, not non-prohibited right turn,
Oh,
left turn.
yeah.
No
The way
cell
that
phones and
shifted.
everything else.
At least it didn't change on the Ghostbusters thing because that's what sort
Yeah.
of I always looked at.
You want to know another place that didn't change? It was on my garbage my garbage. Uh, I found one place that has the old way on what do you call it? A dumpster at an apartment building. It's not my apartment
Oh,
building. It's a
right,
place
right.
I swing in and see a friend, and it's
Yeah.
right there, saying showing it all that kind of stuff. So that one just spooks the crap out of me because that one there, I said something like, it hasn't changed. My work has got no cell phones on the bathrooms. It hasn't changed. 2 days later, I go into work. They're all changed. I'm like, really? Do we have all signs changed here now at the place, or did that just happen? So yeah, so license plates, and I said I was going to shut up, and I am. So thank you very much, Shane. I tell you, you're a loving guy, and special to me,
We're
and
all a
as
team,
many
man.
many
We're
people.
like
Yeah,
family, bro. So I
yeah, I
appreciate you
appreciate it.
just as much, and
Yeah,
lots of love and
thanks.
light to you, man. And I'm glad
Thank
that
you.
I'm here at the end times beside you and so many.
Thank you.
When I say
Yeah.
end times, guys, I'm not saying the end of the world. I'm saying the
No.
end of what we're
3D,
dealing with
yeah,
and into
whatever.
the
Yeah,
higher dimension or whatever it is.
yeah. It's
Whatever we're
exciting
here to do,
times.
drag up
Very
everybody to
exciting.
4D or 5D or whatever.
Yeah, no more darkness, no more the Iron Age. We are either in the Bronze or the Gold Age right now, and we are going to see some beautiful things for all of us. So, yep, yep, yep.
Definitely,
So,
bro. So I
yeah,
appreciate you, man,
love and
and I'll
light to
have you
you.
back on again.
All right, very cool, Shane. All right, you take care.
All right, you too, buddy. Bye bye.
All right, bye bye.
Oh, another great call with Roger Prescott, and yeah. So I wanted to share those pictures because man, that's so cool the way he's actually he's done the work. He's reaping the benefits of actually you know hacking the system. You guys. I mean, I don't know what else you can say. That you've heard the guy. I mean, it doesn't sound like he's pulling off a hoax or anything. I'm sure anything he could have pulled anything away and faked it. But you've heard what he said, and some people are gonna undoubtedly there's going to be people who are doubters, and I get it. You know what I mean? But from my interactions with him, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would even waste his time doing that. Um, I don't know. It's just that I don't feel that from him. I don't feel like he's trying to pull over a hoax on us. So um, I feel like it's very real, and I feel like it's something that we can all deal with. And that's sort of my whole thing with the whole Mandela effect. Why I've sort of been pushing to see it in a positive light. It's because once you see it in a positive light and you realize there's this higher force that can change our very reality right before us, then you realize when things go a certain way in your life, why are they going this way? If someone has the power to change this right now, what's the purpose in all this? What is the reason I'm having to deal with this? And it makes you look a little deeper because you realize things aren't just random. It's things aren't coincidental. You know what I mean? And it causes you to, what is God trying to show me with this? What is, my higher self, whatever you want to call it. I know some people get angry when I say that, Jesus is fine, Jesus is my hero, so I don't have a problem with saying that, but I don't want it to be limited because while we might put God in these individual structures, from my experience looking around at all the different religions and stuff, God seems to have his people in every single religion. I'm not saying every religion is the way to God, but I'm saying that every religion has people that's found God within that religion. So while we want to kind of set up these recipes of how God must work, God works through whatever He can. He comes and meets us wherever we are. That's been my experience. And He doesn't get caught up on all of these things that we get caught up on. He loves us like any father would love his child. I'm not going to get upset if my kid calls me Shane or Dad. I know he loves me, whatever he calls me. And with that, I'll leave it. And I love you guys. Lots of love and light to everyone here. Thanks so much for sticking with me. This was a long one, but it was definitely a fun one. And I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.